You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. It's fall and it's Libra season, and I'm so excited because this is my favorite time of the year. I just love fall. I love Libra season. I love it all. And it is definitely feeling good because, the best zodiac symbol is here. The best season of the year is here. And I've been anticipating this for a while, and it's here. And it's my season. Like, I love, well, really every season is my season. But like, I love fall because I feel like a lot of good things happen around this time for me, and it's a great time. It's a great weather. It's been a little rainy over the weekend, all of that. But honestly, I consider it symbolic because, rain is a symbol of change. When it rains, great change is coming. And I think that, that's a good sign. I think when we ever have, rain is always a symbol of change. When I got married nearly 2 years ago, oh my goodness, October 16th felt like it was yesterday. October 16th, 2021 felt like it was yesterday. Um, it rained. It rained. It rained on our wedding day. And it was good because we already had like a indoor plan and everything. But low key, I was hoping it was going to rain because I've always heard that weddings with rainy days is like a symbol of like, it's a good thing. It's like good luck. It's like, like I am, like someone dropping a glass or pouring wine or dropping a drink or something. It's always a sign of good luck. So yeah, and it's been a very fruitful marriage, and it's been great. So, but no, it just feels good. I feel really, really rejuvenated. Um, I'm ready for 32. I'll be 32 years old on October 12th, which is cool. Like, people are like always afraid of aging or getting older. I'm not. Like, I'm ready to get into this grown era because, quite frankly, I'm tired of the fucking paternalism. Like, I'm tired of the paternalism of being in that age of like, okay, you're still being called a baby, which is annoying, but at the same time, you're paying bills like a grown ass adult. So it's like that weird phase of like, I feel like anytime you're like in this weird like early 30s phase, people still treat you like you're like this cute baby, or they treat you like a twink, even though you're past the twink era. Like, I had a twink era, and trust me, you can go back and look at those pictures from like my early 20s. But I'm not a twink, and I'm not in my early baby era. Like, I'm very much a grown ass man. Am I like grown? Am I zaddy? No, I'm not zaddy yet. But I am in this mature grown ass phase, and I'm ready to get fully into it because, I feel like I've earned my stripes. I may not look like it, but I definitely have earned them. And I really want to just lean into that grown assness appeal. So, in the words of my good friend Simba, I just can't wait to be king. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to 32. I'm looking forward to being, even more grown than what I already am. So yeah, it's been, fall is here. I'm excited. Libra season is here. I'm excited for my birthday. I'm excited for all the little things. Mr. Johnson has been dropping little hints, y'all. He's been dropping little hints. He thinks he's so subtle, but I have no clue. Like, there's surprises and things, and even my friends are surprising. Like, the Lip Brothers are kind of like doing something I can tell, but like no one's saying anything. And here's the thing: I like surprises, but I like controlled surprises. Meaning, like, you gotta tell me to clear my dates. So I've been told, what are you doing today? That date? Nope, you're not doing anything? Cool. Like, I like that because then I can be able to fully be involved. Like, if you tell me you try to like last minute me on some shit and I'm like, yo, I'm not even in Philly. That's crazy, right? I don't want to, like you gotta let me know to clear a date. You gotta make sure I'm available, but you don't gotta tell me what it is. So I have no clue what's happening, but I sense something's happening, but I don't know what it is. So that is exciting. But yeah, I'm really into it. I'm a birthday person. I know a lot of people are like, some folks don't really celebrate their birthday. They're not really into it. I get it. But no, I'm definitely a birthday person. Like I'm definitely into like all the fun and celebration because like, come on, let's it's your birthday. Like you gotta do something. You gotta have something. I mean, if it's a cute little dinner or a party or brunch, whatever the case is, you gotta do something for your birthday. Or people do for you, something for you, you know? That's my way of thinking. But yeah, it's been great. It's been a really good time. I'm just really happy. I don't know, it's because I have these cute flowers near me, which we're going to talk about. This jar of flowers, this vase. I'm sorry, this vase of flowers in front of me. They're so pretty, and I'm looking at them, and I'm smelling them, and it feels so good. And I have a really great can of a great product, but I'm not going to talk about this until a little later. So, Chicago, the book tour, the third leg of the National Book Tour for the Case for Cancel Culture, my debut book. We're in high gear. Chicago happened, which you all know is my birthplace, and I loved it. Chicago was awesome. Chicago was fun. Chicago was it was a great moment. It was a great moment on tour. I was there for one day, one night only, but I rocked it. Like that day was just fun. I stayed at the Felix Hotel, which was like downtown, North Chicago-ish. Um, the bookseller hosted my book. But before I did that, I had to make some stops at some childhood favorites. So I went to Pequod's Pizza for the deep dish. I wanted a good deep dish pizza. There's a lot of great places. My mom was telling me about this place called Fiesta Italian or something, Fiesta. She grew up in South Side of Chicago, which I was actually grew up in, born around that area on Halsted, 127, near 127 Halsted, which I went for Harold's fried chicken. Okay, Harold's is the king of fried chicken. There's Harold's apparently across the country, but the best one is on 127th and Houston. Folks from Chicago confirm. You all know this, but there's a bunch of Harold's chickens across Chicago. But I went to the one on 127th. That beef batter, whatever they got going on with that chicken is phenomenal. And I had it with the mild sauce. Now, my mom, I took pictures, and if you saw the pictures, I had the mild sauce on the side. She's like, "Oh, you should put it on. It should have been on top." I'm like, "Listen," I told her, "Listen, you know how I eat food, ma. Like, I don't eat everything. I'm not a person I like to have stuff dredged on something. Like, I like to, put it on myself." And it's been many years since I've been back to the Windy City. So, I was like, "Let me, you never know." But it was good. And once I had the mild sauce, I did. Like, I just basically had these fried chicken wings. I dipped my wings in the sauce. It's a great sauce. I can't tell you what's in it, but it's just like this very, like, a nice little heat to it, but it's like tangy, but it's like mild. It's got like this heat to it. It's sweet, but it got this nice little tang to it that I can't describe, but it's addicting. And it tastes really good on this hot fried chicken. Like the combination together is like mind blowing. It is a very memorable taste, a very special taste. And like, it was nostalgia in my mouth. It was great. Pequod's had a really great deep dish pizza. Love a deep dish pizza. Love a deep dish pizza with extra sauce, which is how I ordered it. It's a big old piece of pie. I know you Philly folks like your pizza like the New York style type, but this is everything. So I was super excited to have deep dish from Chicago at a place that is well respected in the community. I go where the locals go. Okay, I definitely checked out the Eater Philly, page. We love Eater. Not Eater Philly. I looked at Eater Chicago. So when I'm traveling to these different parts around the country, so my book tour is also in LA. I'm going to be in Detroit this week. Looking forward to Detroit. Detroit is on Wednesday. It's so hard and it's so cold in the D. It's so cold in the D. It's a song throwback. Look it up. It was a couple years ago. It's a classic. But definitely gonna be back in the D on Wednesday, and I'm going to be back in Detroit the first, like December 1st. My cousin is getting married. My cousin Rachel, she's getting married. Rachel's getting married, and she's getting married in Detroit. So the family's going down. It's going to be myself, Mr. Johnson, my mom, and folks. We're actually going to go down for the wedding. So I'm really feeling Detroit. I'm excited. Like I'm going to get to make two trips in Detroit. The last time I was in Detroit was for the NABJ convention, which was in 2018, which was 5 years ago. And I got to see my uncle, and I got to see my aunt and my family, some of my folks. I have family in Chicago and Detroit. I have another uncle who is in Chicago, and that was great. So he was in town, and he lives like on the south side. I was in the north side, but it was great to connect with family and enjoy food. But what do I want to talk about first? The book signing. So the book signing was dope. Micah B had a dental infection, and so we couldn't be in conversation, which was kind of a bummer. But the person who was there, who really sold the show, was Kenyette Tisha Barnes. She is the co-founder of Mute R. Kelly. So Kenyette was there, and Kenyette was there. I'm sorry, and she was fabulous. She was great. And we ended up going to dinner afterwards. We went to Daisy's, which is considered one of the best restaurants in America, according to the New York Times. So let me tell you about this list. So they did this last week, they did a list of the 50 best restaurants in America. And like they went all across the country. They got restaurants in Alaska, they got places in Georgia, they got everywhere. All the 50 states they hit. But they have this really comprehensive list. So in Philadelphia, there's 3 restaurants. There was El Chigarron, which is a Mexican restaurant, which was like the big shocker. There's Malu, which I went to early in May and told you all great things. Malu, the fiance of Amanda Schulman, who's a Penn alum. Amanda Schulman owns Her Place Supper Club. Her boo is the owner and the chef that's doing Malu in Rittenhouse. Like they're like a little culinary, power couple. Amanda Schulman got a James Beard nominee for Best Emerging Chef. She didn't win, but she's like Philly's best new hot girl chef right now. And her boo is running Malu. And Mr. Johnson and I went there after watching The Little Mermaid remake at the theater. Then we went there for dinner. It was a perfect date night. Dinner was incredible, and I really, really loved it. And actually, it is so far, I want to say it's my favorite best new restaurant for Philadelphia thus far. Malu is legend. It's got the potential to be legendary. So, and of course, with her supper club taking the cake last year, I mean, they're doing it over there. That couple, they got a thing going. It's very new American avant-garde cooking, very out of the box, very different, very fun. It's cool. It's cool. They're dope. They got the juice right now in Philly's food scene, in Rittenhouse specifically. So Malu was on the list, and then Kalaya was on the list for Philly. So Kalaya, Malu, and El Chigarron was the 3 from Pennsylvania that got on the 50 best restaurants list, which is not bad considering that New York and Chicago only had a couple too. So Philly, the Philly food scene is booming, and as the proud editor of Eater Philly, it's tremendous. So Daisy's was repping Chicago. Went to Daisy's, loved it. It was so good. It's totally the best restaurant in Chicago. Fun, festive. There were people I know who didn't even know anything about Daisy that lived in Chicago. And because of the fact that I had gave them a shout out on my social, people were like, oh, I gotta check Daisy out in Chicago. So I'm telling people in other cities where to go to eat. Okay, my impact. But really happy. Very love Daisy's. The book signing was incredible. Like I said, Michael B couldn't be there, but Kenyette was there. And shout out to Zoe. Zoe was a listener, a big fan of Ernestly Speaking. She listens to the podcast on a regular basis. She heard about my book signing in Chicago by listening to this podcast. So that just warmed my heart. Zoe, you were awesome. It was great to see you in person. Thank you for listening to the show and supporting Ernestly Speaking. Just follow me on social media and everything. Shout out to you. Really loved just your energy and the question you asked during the book signing. It was just a really great conversation. And one of the things I will tell you all from listening, being able to go across the country, that it feels like a tour that's not just for the book, but just for the brand, for Ernestly Speaking as the podcast. Like there are people coming for different reasons, and it was great. So I just want to thank you again for coming to the book signing and being one of those great people that were there. It was a really great conversation. I really loved it. I love signing copies. I love seeing different people, and one of the things I love about the book tour and just the stops is that people assume that it's like just queer folks being there, just Black people being there. No, y'all, white people come too. People from all walks of life come to the book tour and come to different stops. And so it just felt good to just see, folks like, folks that we have a kinship, a connection in a different way, but to see people in person and for them to share their stories, it's just really touching. And like, a lot of authors, when they do book tours, they only kind of do like, a couple of dates or whatever. They do it in one period and they're gone. But for me, the success of this book, the vibes, the energy, the anticipation, the consistent engagement. It's like when I got a chance to talk to my publicist and my team, I was like, why not? Right? If there's bookstores like the Bookseller was an independent bookstore in Chicago, which was super dope. They were awesome. If people want me to come and there's a way for me to get there, let's make it happen. And we have. And we're going strong. It's been several months and people just consistently come out and we're having these great conversations about cancel culture. We're redefining what it means. And people are learning. And that just that just melts my heart, y'all. I can't even. I'm not going to cry. But it feels good to know that there are people who are, outside of my core group, my circle, that are really being touched by the book, the work that's happening over here, and it just reminds me to keep going and to make it do what it do. So thank you. This upcoming Wednesday, I'm going to be in Detroit. I'm super excited because my cousin Rachel and her fiance and my families from Detroit are going to also be there. I'm really excited about Detroit. I'm going to be at Source Booksellers, which is on 4240 Cass Avenue. Excited about it. Excited about it. There's some great people that are going to be there in attendance. I'm going to be in conversation with Andre Ash, which is the Michigan Chronicle. He's a really known journalist, local journalist, Black. And I love the fact that on this book tour, everyone I've been in conversation with have been Black writers, Black folks in media, that are local, that are in the industry. So it's always good to be in a position where I can collaborate in that type of level. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah. Chicago was great. One thing I want to say about Chicago before I get into other dates coming up. One thing I'll say about Chicago is still largely impacted by the scar that Jussie Smollett made and by the consequences of R. Kelly. That was something I would say I noticed a lot, was that there was a lot of, conversations about R. Kelly. And just the fact that they're still going through that. They're still going through that. So that was something I will say I noticed. And it's like the way Philly goes up for Meek Mill. This is also an interesting conversation to be had. So that's what I noticed. Also, outside of Wednesday, next week, y'all, next weekend is the Brooklyn Book Festival. I will be there. I'm going to tell you all something that is not public yet. I mean, it's public, but a lot of people don't know until I tell y'all. But I'm going to give y'all some tea. So next week I'll be there at the Brooklyn Book Festival. I will be in Brooklyn Saturday and Sunday. So if you're from Brooklyn, you live in Brooklyn, you want to go to the Brooklyn Book Festival, hit the link in my bio or just look up Brooklyn Book Festival. It's free to the public. But for those listening to this podcast that's in Brooklyn or near Brooklyn or in New York City, let me tell you about this book festival and what's going down. So I'm going to be there in person next weekend. So Saturday is going to be an awards program, which I'm going to go. They're going to honor a prestigious Brooklyn-based writer, journalist. Going to honor Austin Owls or something, I think his name is, or Holston Owls. Legendary. They're going to celebrate him. There's going to be a reception. That's not for the public. It's a invite event. It's like a little gala of sorts. But Festival Day is on Sunday, October 1st. And I will be there. I will be in a very interesting conversation. Very interesting conversation. I'm going to be talking to this interesting guy, and it's going to be a debate. So on October 1st at 5 p.m., that's on a Sunday, next Sunday, I will be at the Brooklyn Law School, the Student Lounge at room 250. That is on 250. I'm sorry, it's not going to be room 250. It's going to be 250 Joralemon Street. And that's going to be in Brooklyn. And there's going to be a conversation. It's going to be called On the Cancel Culture Spectrum. It's pretty much like a debate. And it will be myself and another person. I'm going to read you the caption about this. Here's the caption. We all have been disappointed, dismayed, or angry by creators, leaders, and celebrities whose work we admire, but whose personal actions are inappropriate, reprehensible, or worse. But as individuals, we are responsible to activate the cancel culture spectrum from punishment to redemption and need to consider ramifications. Is accountability the middle ground? Ernest Owens, The Case for Cancel Culture, How This Democratic Tool Works to Liberate Us All, and Evan Neerman, The Cancel Culture Curse, From Rage to Redemption in a World Gone Mad, offer conflicting points of view about cancel culture and its impacts on society. Moderated by Catherine Lofton, Lex Hickston, professor of religious studies and American studies at Yale University. We will be in debate next Sunday at 5 o'clock at the Brooklyn Law School Student Lounge. It's going to be on and popping. There's going to be a crowd. We're going to talk for about an hour, and then we're going to do a book signing right after. C-SPAN is going to be recording the debate. Yes, it will be on TV. It's going to be a part of Book TV, which is like a little channel show that airs on C-SPAN. You all might remember this because C-SPAN Book TV also aired my book talk that I did with Deborah Douglas, who, as you all remember, this was in conversation at with the Emancipator, the publication Emancipator, when she was the editor. This was back in early March, like February. I was at the Harvard bookstore. I was on my early stops doing a book tour in the spring. And they did that talk, which was very powerful. It was a great time. A lot of people came through, and this was Harvard bookstore. And it was great. It was a great conversation. And C-SPAN filmed that and aired it. And there is an episode, I believe the episode is on YouTube somewhere. So, or on my website. If you go to my website, it might be somewhere. You can see that clip on my website. But it was a very great conversation. And I guess C-SPAN loved this book because here we are again, months later, doing this incredible event at the Brooklyn Book Festival. As a debut author, this is an honor. The Brooklyn Book Festival is one of the most widely acclaimed free book festivals in the country. Very widely attended. Lots of buzz. If you're an author with a book, this is one of the places that you want people to know about. It's like the Tribeca Film Festival of books. So I'm super excited. I'm not nervous. I'm just very jittery and excited about it because it's like, wow, what can happen? I'm just thinking about all the things that can happen from this experience and all the, in the conversation and the audience and everything. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Brooklyn next Sunday, October 1st. So keep an eye for that. And then right after, October 2nd at 6 p.m., I am going to be at the USC bookstore. I'm going to LA, Los Angeles. I got to catch a flight early in the morning on Monday to make sure I get to USC to go back to my alma mater, which I got my lovely master's in communication management from USC Annenberg. And I will be there at a book signing there at a USC bookstore. My dream from the very beginning was to have a West Coast, East Coast situation. Both of my alma maters have celebrated me. I had my first public book signing. My second book signing actually for this book was at the Penn bookstore. That was right across the street from the Annenberg School for Communication from Penn, which is where I got my bachelor's, and I also met my husband. So it was cool to be able to have that experience, but now to go to the West Coast where I got my master's and have the same experience, but this time at USC in Los Angeles with friends and people all over. I'm so honored. I'm so humbled by this. I'm super excited. It's a free event. All these events are free to the public. Please come through. Please come. If you're in Los Angeles and LA, all of my LA fans and folks and people, please come through. But I'm super excited. USC has me doing some other cool things on the low. I'm going to have a whole LA day. I'm staying at the USC Hotel. I'm doing a lot of stuff to promote alumni stuff. Like, they're going to utilize me. So I'm super excited to see my fellow Trojans. Fight on, guys. I'm going to be there next Monday, October 2nd. So if you want to know more, if you can go to the link in my bio on Twitter or Instagram, you can see the place where you can RSVP. So you can just make sure that they know you're coming, so you can get a seat, get in the front row, get your seats. But I'm super excited about that as well. So I'm just taking it all in. Also, when I was in Chicago, before I get into what's going on in Philly, I went to the airport and I got a chance to try Rick Bayless Frontera. Now, Frontera used to be at Penn when I was an undergrad. They had like a little section, but I know Rick Bayless is like very controversial because like the white guy who makes Mexican food, but he kind of makes it well according to people. But he had Frontera at the airport, and I gotta tell you, Frontera is good, y'all. I know people talk about the tortas and all that, but for a fast casual spot, Frontera is good. I know the controversy. I know I get the different thoughts about Rick Bayless and the food, but I know why it's a hit. Because if you like Mexican food, if you like that kind of food, you're going to love it. Amanda, my good Judy, Miss Parks, soon to be Mrs. Hamilton. Let me tell you something, girl. I gotta give it to them, girl. They had some good Mexican. It's been a really big, like I think, couple of weeks for Mexican food and Latino food. It's Hispanic Heritage Month, of course, and there's just been a lot of love for Latin food. And at Eater Philly, we've had Mexican restaurants, essential Mexican restaurants that we shouted out. We also did something really cool for Dying Latino Week, which was Restaurant Week, which was last week. Shout out to them for putting it on. That was the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Philadelphia, the Greater Philadelphia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. They put that event together, and it was dope. Wrote a piece about Restaurant Week that got the girls in their feelings for Eater Philly, but you know what? The traffic was popping. I mean, look, Restaurant Week is 20 years old. I went to two great Restaurant Week events. About two restaurants. I went to another one. I went for Sia, but that was kind of not really like a Restaurant Week. But anyway, I went to Restaurant Alexander with Dr. Parks. She enjoyed herself. The banana pudding, phenomenal. It was a great deal. Like if you're in Restaurant Week mode, it was the best. Restaurant Week has ended. However, because Restaurant Alexander in Britain House, which is the old V Street, by the way, was so successful, and maybe some of that had to do with some of the coverage they got. I don't know. They have extended Restaurant Week for the next 2 weeks. So they're still keeping a Restaurant Week menu, and they're still keeping the energy going before they transition to their fall menu. So if you saw my pictures and loved the food and loved what you saw and was like, oh my God, I want to go back, you can still go and enjoy Restaurant Week rates and prices at that menu with that prefix still after Restaurant Week, because that was how popping Restaurant Alexander was during Restaurant Week. It was, to me, probably the best Restaurant Week like situation for a new restaurant. They had a good time. They rocked it out. They clearly made a bank. People really loved it. And it was so good, I heard from the chefs that people wanted to try other things. Like they added to the menu in addition to, because that was just how good the food was. I had the short rib. Amanda, Dr. Parks, had the lamb. We did these different hors d'oeuvres together. We did like the first starter, which was pierogi. She had the onion soup. We had several cocktails. The cocktails were just great. Espresso martini she had. I think she liked. She loved all the cocktails. It was a good time. And then the dessert was bomb. I had the peaches and cream. We both had the peaches and cream. But then we asked for the banana pudding just to try it. And the banana pudding slapped. It was the bomb. It was so good. And she just couldn't get enough of it, okay? So it was a great dinner. It was a wonderful dinner. I went to Fringe Bar. But my op-ed that I did for Eater, which is on the website, you can check it out. I just basically talked about how it's been 20 years of Restaurant Week, and I just think they need to shake it up a little bit. Like, I just feel like they should do something just different. I feel like there's not enough diversity in Restaurant Week, and to be clear, I don't think that it's because restaurants don't want to participate, or restaurants are not getting invited to participate. I just think that there are some restaurants that I've spoken to that don't feel like it is going to be worthwhile for them to do it because of just how competitive it is in general when you have the big blockbuster restaurants that are out there that have a built clientele. And so these smaller, newer, diverse restaurants that come in, they can't even do it because they, number one, need to get money, but two, they don't know if they're going to get enough traffic and if it's going to be worthwhile even participating. And so part of me just wonders, like, what would Restaurant Week look like if there was more of a focus on equity versus just open access for everybody? Because open access for everybody in this regard, in this situation, is inequitable for smaller, niche restaurants, especially those owned by women and those owned by chefs of color. That's my perspective. I just think there could be something that could be more done, that could be collected, like put more resources. It's a shame that national organizations and outside groups have to create these restaurant weeks when they could get city support, they could get district support, there could be other resources to help this diversity within our food scene. And I know, there were some people, of course, who had their opinions and didn't agree and was mad and bitching about it. And it's like, listen, okay, you don't agree with me. That's fine. Like, I just think it's interesting how there's always this like chatter group. And it's funny because I've been noticing it on the site. Like as editor, I get to see what's going on with the traffic and the views. But it's like the same gaggle of people that every time I write an opinion piece about something, oh, they arrive and it's, oh my God, either exchange for the worse. Motherfucker, I've been in this position for over 2 months. And you don't get in the comments when I'm doing great bars and great stuff. I write about 80% of the content on the website at this point. And so it's like, no one has nothing to say when there's the list, the maps, the guides, the central restaurant list. Oh, people love that stuff. They eat it up. No one complains. But then an opinion piece comes in, it's like, basically they're saying, oh, I knew when there was going to be a black person running this publication, it was going to get all racial. But it's like, and, like, what are you saying? You miss when white people were running the publication? You miss when everything acquiesced to your dry, salty mouth taste? I just think it's interesting what people say. They say the quiet part out loud, right? They find ways to say something, but then they're really saying something different. And so nobody wants anyone to talk about race, culture, anything about DEI in the food industry. And so the moment a black person gets a position, like myself, then these are the types of people get in the comments and act like things are going downhill when it's just that you're uncomfortable. Well, fuck your feelings. All right, that's that on that. But seriously, at this point, I have gotten at the stage in my life where I have now reached a point where the record is sounding broken. When it comes to bigots, when it comes to homophobes, when it comes to racists, when it comes to white supremacists, that at this point, every type of excuse, justification, rationale for the ignorance and the bigotry and all that shit, I've heard it 1,000 times. There's like nothing new or captivating or insightful or very different that these types of people have to say that does not end up crossing the line of, you're just mad that a black queer person is smarter than you, knows more than you, and is running something that you feel like I shouldn't run because of the fact that I am the things that make you cringe. Well, guess what? It is 2023. The world is round, people, and sometimes white folks that are entitled and privileged and bratty and whiny, there is a world that does not revolve around you. And there are people that look like you that get that, and they're called accomplices. And they see you for the Karen that you are, and they don't want to hear it, and they don't want to deal with it. And also, there are black people like me that are tired of being quiet and silent. And you know what? We're also going to tell you that you're wrong and you're going to fuck yourself. So I like to let my Beckys do it, so I don't got to do it. Because if I do it, then it's going to be a problem. So I let them do it and speak to you in your language. And if you don't get it, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say. But we're done here. And that's kind of what my attitude is that I have learned this year, 31 has been the age for me of learning how to unapologetically defend myself. I've always defended myself. Like, I have no problem. The courage and the confidence in me has always given me the protection to be able to say, fuck out of here. But I'm also at the point in my age where I don't no longer feel any remorse for standing 10 toes down for myself. There was a time where I would always have to consider the optics and consider, the backlash. And at this point, I don't give a fuck. Because whether you do this shit nice, you do it pretty, you do it with a smile, you talk soft, you shake a hand, the results are always the same with these people. If they don't want to hear a no. So whether you tell them no sweetly, or you say it to them frankly, or you say it to them with a curtsy, they don't give a fuck. The no will still make them act a fool. So then what am I to do to sit back and have to reflect and consider and feel guilt? I'm not doing that no more. I haven't done that this entire year with everything. And you know what? It's felt good because people are going to do what they're going to do regardless. Anybody who acts like they're undecided when it comes to situations like this, they're lying. They know what they want to do. They just want somebody to coddle them while they make a fuck up decision. I am not coddling anyone that's invested in my deterioration. I'm not going to coddle anyone who's making decisions that's going to harm my community and the people that I love. And I'm not going to make them feel good about it. If you're going to make a decision that's fucked up, then you're going to feel the shame. I'm not going to feel sad or rethink your fucking feelings when you don't ever consider mine. It's time, people. It's time, people, to take back your power, take back your time, and just tell motherfuckers no, and that's what it's going to fucking be. I like to tell people now, thank you for your services when I have to reject folks. But I mean that. I'm not going to sit around and take in all of these other people's shit. It weighs down on you. It's not good for your health, mentally or physically. And also, if decisions are going to move on the way they're going to move on, why sit there and, play the dumb game? Not my type of work. So yeah, it was a lot going on this week. So Restaurant Alexander was great. I also went to Forcia with a good friend of mine over the week, at the end of the week. It's a French restaurant. Christopher Kearse, who is a wonderful chef. He used to own Will BYOB over there in Passyunk. Now he owns Forcia, which has been around in OC for a couple years, but it's an incredible French restaurant. They're French as fuck, as he would describe it. And they make really great cuisine, and it was a lovely time. And Forcia is just a great place to just experiment and try different foods and things. They have the best duck in the city. I'm going to say that. They have the best duck in the city. I love the way they cook duck there. It's phenomenal. I also had fun. I went to Vernick Fish for lunch. Haven't been to Vernick Fish in a while. Went there to check it out. Still phenomenal. Still great. I love their carrot cake pie, which is one of my favorite desserts in Philly. I think it's my favorite consistent dessert at a Philadelphia restaurant. The carrot cake pie never misses. It's scrumptious. It's scrumptious. It's scrumptious. It's scrumptious. I can eat it right now. It is so good. It's great. And it's a great place for lunch. I went with my lawyer. We had lunch. It was a great time. No serious shit. We just had a good old catching up. It's always good to have a lawyer, right? To have somebody that's going to, make sure you're good. We had a great lunch. Talked about, everything that was going on in the city and just, talked about the work I'm doing and some of this great stuff I have coming up. So it was great to catch up with my lawyer. He's dope. Vernick Fish was awesome for fish. Also great seafood, great oysters. Got a wide oyster selection that I wasn't ready for. Cocktails are on fleek. Loved it. Where else did I go? I did a lot of good things this week. It's been a lot of weeks. Oh, I went to Conshohocken with the boys over the weekend. We did a great little lunch catch up, the Lip Brothers. We went to Conshohocken. We went to Hook and Ladder. So all my folks in the suburbs, Conshohocken folks, nearby folks, Hook and Ladder is at that hotel down there. They also have a bar called 1874 Social, which is also dope. They're at the Hotel Weston Maine. Weston Maine is a very nice, luxurious hotel that's in Conshohocken, and I've been there a couple of times. I went there a year ago, and it was during my birthday, and they brought out the saxophone and got me a personal bottle of Vive. It was so good. But we catched up, the Lit Brothers, we wanted to do like an hour. We love going out of the city to sometimes get litty. And so this was great. We went to Hotel Weston Maine. That was the hotel. Inside of that hotel, there is Hook and Ladder that has a sky bar. But they also have just a great brunch spot, and it's a beautiful indoor-outdoor situation. But we also went downstairs at 1874 Social, and they got some banging cocktails. That whole spot is litty. If you're somebody who wants to do like a staycation, get out the city, go somewhere chill where you're not going to be seen, I recommend this spot. I recommend this area. Like that area is really cute, like a nice little date night intimate. They have really nice rooms, really nice views, really good food. You could really have a nice loungy night. A lot of people have been used to do that at Lancaster. Remember when everyone was like Lancaster Avenue? Like everybody wanted to go to not Lancaster Avenue, Lancaster, outside of the city, like upwards, like a couple hours away from Philly. People used to love to go to Lancaster and do like a little weekend thing because they have the Amish, they have the cheese, they have all the farmers markets and stuff. They got a nice little situation over there too. Mentally, I feel like this is that alternative. You can get that feel without being too far from the city, but you can also have something that's cozy. And it was very fall vibes. We tried their fall cocktails, we tried their food. It was great. It was fabulous. So I really highly recommend them. That was a good time. And Lit Brothers, those are my boys, George, Jamarcus, Gio. George, Jamarcus, Gio. Josh. I would say Gio and George are the same person. It's Gio, Jamarcus, and Josh. That J sound out of everything. Josh, Jamarcus, George, the three of them. They were great. So we hung out there. It was fun. We did this because of the fact that the day before Saturday was supposed to be the Philadelphia Polo Classic. We went there last year. It was one of our most iconic Lit Brother experiences. Fabulous time, good time. Well, it rained this weekend, as you all know. So we had to we was invited to a VIP party. So the good news about it was that even though we could not go to the Polo Classic because it rained, there was still a very nice charity fun event. And so we did that. And we were at Front and Palmer in Fishtown. We got together, had a good time. We looked really good. We was there. The St. James Washington Square group, Mars, was one of the sponsors. But Work to Ride was the group. That's the organization that really teaches a lot of these inner city diverse youth how to ride horses and how to do polo and how to do matches. And it's a great program. It keeps people off the streets. It helps people develop leadership skills and all those great things. And it's also a very unique opportunity for people to get exposed to interesting aspects of society. I had a good time. We had a good time yesterday. Great food. Feast Your Eyes was the caterer. You can't go wrong with Feast Your Eyes. Nothing Bundt Cake had these mini bunts. Oh my God. So during my bachelor party, my people, like when they, did my bachelor party, they got me a big ass cake from Nothing Bundt Cake. And I love Nothing Bundt Cake. It's actually an addiction. It's a problem. And so like, I like people have like been like, we can't get Ernest this cake because he's going to eat the whole cake in one setting. And there has been times, y'all, I have to be honest with you. They're out there. I think in Ardmore, they have a store in Ardmore that's really good. Somebody got us a cake. This was a while ago. And so y'all going to hold this against me, but it is what it is. There was a cake. It was a red velvet cake with the icing. It was a full cake. Someone had a table. Nobody was eating the cake. I don't know why. I just think they just was like, oh, it's a little red velvet cake. I don't want it. So I just was like, okay, I'm gonna give me a slice because I like Nothing But Cake. I had it a couple of times. It was so good. So I just walked there. We was at this party this was a while ago, but I was at that party and no one was eating this cake. So I just kept giving myself a slice. Every 15, 20, 30 minutes, I would just stop by and cut another cake. I think by the end of the event, I had about 3/4 of that cake. And nobody ate it. And in good fashion. Because you know what's next, right? I took the fourth of the cake home because I don't believe in food waste. And people just act like they didn't know nothing about this cake. But I knew all about it. Well, anyway, it became a lifelong obsession. I had a real obsession. Nothing But Cake. I can order it off of Uber Eats and it will deliver it to the house. I've done that a couple of times. Holidays, Easter. I did it for Easter, but it's a thing. And my bachelor party, they got some for us. Mini bundt cakes. And they were good. So I'm just going to leave that there. That was it was an addiction. It was so good though. I don't know. It's the lightness of the cake. It's the texture. It's the portion size. It's the fullness. It's the icing. It's just a really good cake. Just a moment. Okay. So the Polo Classic was great. The catering was good. We were cute. Everyone was there. Shouts to Cashman Associates for pulling that event together within 24 hours because literally the Polo Classic was canceled and we all thought, oh, bummer, Saturday's over. And then we were hit up later that day and we were told like, yo, we're going to do something else instead. And that was also very fabulous. So that was a good time. Shout to them. Other things I went to Brotherly Grub at Jacobs Northwest. Let's talk about Brotherly Grub real quick. Brotherly Grub was great. It's a black woman-owned restaurant in Northwest Philly. It's called Jacobs Northwest is the restaurant. But Brotherly Grub is like a venture of hers that's inside of that location. Brotherly Grub won the black cheesesteak competition. There was a cheesesteak competition. She won. I was one of the judges, and her brisket cheesesteak won for good reason. Okay, for good reason. When y'all be like, "What is the reason?" For good reason. That's why I won. It was phenomenal. It was a great cheesesteak. Mm. I got my whole life there. The food was incredible. She basically was telling Mr. Johnson, we made it a Saturday night date night. We made it a really good Saturday night date night experience, and we went there, and it was great. It was a combination of really good seafood. There was really good um, casual food. So here's the thing with Jacob's West and Brotherly Grub. So Brotherly Grub is a food truck that's around Philly. Right now, the food truck is getting redone, repaired, so it's not out and about. But they have been a food truck for a little bit of time. Very popular. They're known for these really good cheesesteaks that they make. They just do it really well. They use the white cheddar. They do it's like a barbecue flavored brisket. And it's just a really unique cheesesteak. And honestly, it's my favorite cheesesteak. Right? Okay, I said this about Jim's West last week, but okay, Jim's West is my favorite traditional cheesesteak. Brotherly Grub is my favorite non-traditional cheesesteak. I think that's the correct answer. Jim's West is right now my favorite cheesesteak in Philly. Traditional cheesesteak in Philly. Jim's West is hot. You need to go to West Philly, get you Jim's West. Now, non-traditional cheesesteaks, like if you want to do something different, I really believe Brotherly Grub at Jacob's Northwest is the answer to that. So, Brotherly Grub has grown in popularity. Jacob's Northwest has a menu. They're mostly the pop and brunch spot. Like a lot of black owned places say that this is the best like brunch spot in Philly. Black owned restaurant, soul food vibes, music, energy, DJ. It's a really great black owned brunch spot. People are saying it's the best. So for me, knowing this information, taking all this in, um, she's the owner of the restaurant. She's great. She is going to start doing a dinner menu there, and the dinner menu is going to take place on is going to start in November. So she let me try all of her you know, she let me try all of her dinner, the dinner entrees. So we tried a lot of great stuff for the menu. She did a dungeon crab ramen with mussels and chicken. It was so good. She did a salmon with a noodle salad with this really great crispy salmon on top. It was flavorful. She did a Cajun pasta, which was also good. Um, a fried lobster tail, which was also good. Just everything was good. Thumbs up, 5 stars. Loved it a lot. Looking forward to seeing them incorporate this in November, but we got a sneak peek early. So I just want to put down a radar for you all who's looking for new black-owned restaurants in Philadelphia to support. That was awesome. So other things that happened this week. I went to, so some of you all have been asking about this on my Instagram story, so I am going to tell you about this. I participated in the Food and Wellness Equity Collective's Creator Summit. Of course, my lit brother, George was there in support, but also was there participating. And, we were there and I was on a panel talking about equity. Crushed it. Great clips, wonderful stuff. You saw it. It was a great time. I was on a panel talking about equity for creatives, like creatives online, influencers and people like that. And just talking about the lack of diversity inclusion with the influencers who get paid for their work and who don't and what we should do about it. Very great informative talk. We was at the Pennsylvania Convention Center, so I felt kind of dope being able to be there and do it. But the ultimate perk. Oh, shout out to Yali and Sonia for putting that event together. They're so dope. They're the leaders behind the the Food and Wellness Equity Collective, which is nationwide, to do a lot of great work. They are the ones who brought me on, invited me, paid me to speak, and I'm grateful for it. So shout out to you all for doing that and just creating opportunities for people like me and others to talk about food inequity in the industry. So part of it was that this event was also part of the Natural Products Expo, which comes to Philly every year. Apparently the East Coast version. They also have a huge national one that's often in LA because it's LA, it's Los Angeles, it's all the products over there. So let me tell you about this Natural Products Expo that I was not initially ready for and got ready for. So here's the heaven, okay? Y'all know I'm about to lose my mind when I tell you this, because I'm going to tell you about what I've been sipping on. So this Natural Products Expo is like the biggest in the country. Basically, all the people who have healthy things, products, skincare products, products for food and drink and eating, all of the people who consider themselves healthy or health focused, literally come to this convention with all of their products for people to sample from the media, from the exhibitors, from the guests. So every type of major vitamin brand, all of your favorite healthy vitamin brands, all of your favorite organic, healthy organic brands, all of them come down here with all of their products in stock. And so the way that it works is that when you go to the expo throughout the week, they have samples. They give you samples of this, samples of that. And basically, they have a policy that you can come with one bag. They don't care about the size. You just come with one bag, and you can basically put your samples in there. At that point, if your bag is full and there's no more baggage or whatever, then you have to go. You cannot bring 2 bags a day. You can only have 1 bag a day. Now, the last final day of the expo is called liquidation. Basically, all of the things in the display case, all the bigger bottles, all of the actual full packages of the products that you probably liked or you sampled, those are all, they have to get rid of them. So basically, you can go and get everything you want that weekend there while they last. I know y'all know where y'all know where I'm going with this. I know y'all know where I'm going with this, okay? So the first day I went, I came with my big black large Telfar bag. Okay? Telfar was on fleek. The big large black one, I played no games. People looked at me like, "Oh, you're serious." I'm dead ass. I went in there and the first day I walked around. Okay, I took notes. I did my research. I walked around and was like, okay, they got this here. Ooh, they got Spindrift. They got LaCroix. They got Bragg with the vitamins. They got all types of products. The natural grain bars, the wheat. They got everything. I was just taking notes of all the stuff. Ooh, they had this really great sea salt minerals for like your foot massage. So at my house, I have like a pedicure machine with the red light and the bubbling water. It's really dope. Okay, love this product. Well, I hadn't replaced, like I hadn't gotten any new like foot minerals, the salt, that you was put in the hot water. I haven't had that in a couple of weeks. I hadn't replaced it. Well, listen, they had the giant jumbo pack of the product I use, organic mineral sea salt. Listen, there go a shopping expense off of my list. Listen, I got everything I could. I did the research, came back, stocked that bag up on the last day. Just was like, here you go in this bag. I took yogurt, I took stuff. They even had flowers, all types of sparkling water. They had my favorite, they had Spindrift. But I also found new sparkling waters I loved. So this one I'm drinking right now that I've been sipping on this entire show is from a company called Wild Wonder. It's no spaces altogether, Wild Wonder. And they have these probiotic, prebiotic sparkling drinks. They're USDA certified organic, low in sugar, super low in sugar, supports your gut, your immune system. It's caffeine free. My favorite flavor out the bunch is the guava rose, which I've been drinking the whole time on the show. It's so good. Oh my God. I mean, it's so good for you. They have dietary fiber from plants in this drink. It's so good. It's so good. I feel healthy drinking it. They also had the Bragg apple cider vinegar tablets, which I have oftentimes done apple cider vinegar as a tablespoon. But I've been hearing from folks that, if you keep doing that, the acid erodes the teeth. And we don't play with teeth. Like, what? But they say the acid in apple cider vinegar, they encourage people to mix it in water, because if you just do it just raw on a tablespoon tip and have that bitter taste, the acid can fuck up with the manual of your teeth. So when I heard about these tablets, I was like, oh, you have apple cider vinegar tablets. Like you can, you don't have to have the very nasty taste. You get all of the potentness of it, but you don't also have to mess up your teeth. And also you don't have to worry about it getting involved in, everything else. So I got these tablets, it's different because, I love the traditional stuff, But this is from Bragg, the company that makes the apple cider vinegar that I like, which has the mother in it. And I talked to an expert, a seller who was there, the person who worked for Bragg, and I was asking questions about the apple cider difference. And they basically said that they take the tablets, and they said really the tablets is where to go for people who are trying to make this a healthy lifestyle that they're going to incorporate for a long time. They said, honestly, the apple cider vinegar is good to really incorporate the product in salads and smoothies and drinks. So they said that you can still get the apple cider vinegar experience, but they said that honestly, it's not, if you're only going to take it as a supplement, right? They said the tablets are better for the supplement. But if you are someone who don't like taking pills or can't keep up, they said this would be good to incorporate in cooking. So the original apple cider vinegar liquid, which I have a big old big old gallon of it in the house, they said you should use that for smoothies. You should use that for health drinks that you're making. You should use that for salad dressings and things like that. So there is purpose for both of them. However, the goal is to incorporate based on those differences. So that is some really good food for thought. Just putting it out there. But I also got other great products. I got Olipop. I love the Olipops are growing on me. At first I was like, it's soda, but no, child. Those Olipops, I don't care what flavor it is. All the flavor is good to me. But the one that's been sticking with me has been the strawberry cream and this watermelon soda one they have that's really good. But all of them are pretty good, to be honest. But yeah, it was great. It was a great expo, great week, lots going on, as you can see, coming up in the week ahead. But the world is continuing to go, and so here we go. Clearly this is gonna be episode. Here we go into hot topics. What's going on in the world? So there's been a lot. Former President Donald Trump's lawyers and New York State investigators are like fighting right now in court. They're trying to score a decisive decision ahead of a trial that is pretty much going to threaten to topple his whole entire real estate industry and drain his bank accounts. Trump is still battling court cases, y'all. Like, this shit is not over. Like, everybody keeps talking about, watch out, Trump might get the presidency. Let me tell y'all something. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't think it's going to be Biden that's going to have to deal with Trump. It's going to be the feds. The feds are going to get Trump out before voters do. Well, we did the first time, but we'll do it again. That's just where I stand on it. I think there's a lot going on, but I really do think that he's fighting. He's scared. There's been reports that have said that Trump is really scared about going behind bars. If you think that Trump's out here being Teflon Don, not giving a fuck, guess again. He understands how serious this shit is. And it's part of the reason why he's not been participating in debates, because honestly, he's got other shit going on. He can't even answer questions and shit. So it's taking a long time, longer than we all anticipated. We're still here. Biden's about to be, in his final year of his first term, and this man is literally we're still having conversations about Trump. Like, Trump just will not go away. But that's that. Now, the Cold War between Tim Scott and Nikki Haley. Now, y'all know Senator Tim Scott and former Governor Nikki Haley. They're both Republican presidential candidates running for president in 2024. They're getting ugly. There is starting to be a lot of drama. They've had like little soft jabs, but the two of them are starting to get hot. And next Wednesday, the debate is going to happen. The GOP presidential debate is happening. There was one a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling you about my thoughts about that. Well, they're talking about who's going to qualify, who's going to do it, but it's coming back again. Nikki Haley and Tim Scott. Now, let me talk about them. Right now, they're diverse. Nikki Haley's a woman. She also has Indian descent. Tim Scott's Black. We'll leave it there. The two of them are Republicans, and they're running against each other. There's been a lot of chatter because I think people look at them as potential folk that could potentially get the nomination. Because Ron DeSantis is not happening. It's just, I just can't, I don't see it. This man came in fast. I always tell people that, like, every race, even with mayoral races, y'all see it in Philadelphia. This takes me back to every major election, right? The mayoral race, if people remember it well, everyone thought the front runner of that race was going to be Anthony Hardy Williams. And then out of the sky came Jim motherfucking Kenney, and he ended up taking it. I remember the DA's race. That was Rich Negrin's race to lose. And initially, Rich Negrin was the poster child of going to win the DA's race back in 2017. All of a sudden, Krasner came in and said, knock, knock, who's there? I'm taking your seat. Krasner just came out of nowhere, and then Joe Kahn had rose. Philadelphia. I remember Helen Gim was the person to beat. Everyone was like, Helen Gim gonna win in the very beginning. And then all of a sudden, Rebecca surged, and then, of course, Sherelle took it. So, I always tell people, watch out for the front runner, the presumed front runner in the challenger race, right? Everybody thinks it's Donald Trump's race again, right, to get the nomination, which is possible. But like everyone thought that Ron DeSantis was going to be the interesting face, and Ron DeSantis has quickly failed. So then everyone's like, well, then who is next? And I do think it'd be interesting that if Trump doesn't pull it off, if Trump gets in trouble, Tim Scott or Nikki Haley could be that answer. I have a theory, and this theory continues to stick. And my theory has continued to stick with Dallas. So let me back up real quick. There was a black mayor in Dallas. Who is the mayor? Black man, was Democrat, won his seat as a Democrat, and then switched to being Republican, wrote about it in the Wall Street Journal, and now a black mayor of Dallas, not Detroit, Dallas, Texas, last week switched from Democrat to Republican while in his seat, wrote about how there needs to be more Republican leadership or some shit. I think he's a fucking buyout. Let me tell you what I personally think. This is my opinion. I think that guy is, again, follow my theory. They're going to use this man to run for some type of seat in Texas, either for a Senate seat or a congressional seat. Mark my words, they are grooming him to become a face in the national scene on behalf of Texas in the Republican space, because the Republican Party knows that they have an identity problem, that pushing white people is not going to fucking help them. Like Herschel Walker almost fucking won the Senate in Georgia, y'all. So we ain't gonna act like Herschel Walker was not who he is. He might have been dumb as a fucking block, but this man literally could have been the next senator of Georgia and could have took out Raphael Warnock. Raphael Warnock won. Reverend Raphael Warnock won his seat. But that was quite a competitive race for somebody to compare apples and oranges, which they looked at what happened in Georgia. And I think they said, you know what? We need a black male Republican, but they got to be a little bit smarter. They got to be a little bit more polished. And so you look at Tim Scott, right? Tim Scott has been doing all right. People are feeling him. There is interest in him. But you look at Texas needs to maintain. Texas knows that in the next coming years, there could be a reversal of fortune where you could start seeing Democratic power in Texas again. Because look what happened back in the 90s. I remember Kay Bailey Hutchinson. We had a Democratic governor in Texas before George W. Bush took over. And then, of course, Rick Perry, and, of course, the other nut, Tom something, that idiot. You have a lot of people. Republican power is still in Greg Abbott. That's something. Greg Abbott is the current governor of Texas. But like that Republican stronghold can fizzle out. Beto O'Rourke has done some damage. He didn't win, but he gets closer. And he should have never ran for president. He really just should have stayed on the governor tip. No, not governor tip, the senator tip. He just jumps around too much. He's not going to be the person. But I do think that there's potential here, right? And they see that. The Republicans see that. And they've been really edging up and pushing black faces. And I think people are ignoring those black people because the anti-blackness within the Democratic Party makes them sleep on black folks when they come for power. But we have been the ones keeping the Democratic lights on. And now black folks might be the ones keeping Republican lights on. So this Dallas mayor, black man who switched from Democrat to Republican this past week, that is nothing to sleep on. I think they're going to groom him to run for Congress, run for Senate in the next couple of years. Stay woke on that. But I say all this to say with Tim and Nikki Haley's war, it's getting messy. I have been reading memos and getting correspondence about how some donors are concerned with Tim Scott and his marital status. Tim Scott is not married, and no one really knows if Tim Scott has a girlfriend. Now, he says he has a girlfriend. Fox News even asked him, and he was like, yeah, he has a girlfriend. He talked about it vaguely, but is giving, according to some people, yeah, I got a girlfriend, but she don't go to school. Y'all know what that means. A lot of people are starting to ask questions about Tim Scott. Now, when I saw him a couple years ago, I was curious. I was like, well, where's this man's family? He's talking about these conservative values. Where's your wife? Where's your kids? What's going on there? Look, don't know what's going on, but he has a girlfriend, he says. I have not seen pictures of the girlfriend. People try to find this girlfriend, whoever she is. But all I'm saying is if you're running for you're running for the president of the United States, and you're representing the Republican Party, don't you think that you should actually, you know, just saying. Mm. But then there are conversations about Nikki Haley. People are raising questions about Nikki Haley. People are saying that they feel like Nikki Haley isn't really, doing, they're worried about her being super critical of the right. And so they're worried about her loyalties and allegiance to the political scene, which could also be messy. They're worried about her. They're thinking that Nikki Haley's like, look, she's criticizing the Democrats too much. I think, and then also her stance on abortion is a little bit more left than the Republican end. She's critical. She's calling everybody out. She's speaking about people there. She's trying to be that middle ground appeal, which I say is enticing. Nikki Haley is enticing. I don't trust her because I don't trust Republicans. But I must say, if I was a naive person that really don't have strong education about politics, I can see people falling for the okie doke with her. I mean, I don't know if it's her time, because I don't know if she can go against Biden and beat Biden. I don't see it. I don't know. If Kamala ran and it was Nikki versus Kamala, it'd be interesting because both of them have Indian descent. Kamala is interracial. She is black and Indian. Nikki is, I believe, white and Indian. Both two Indian, American-esque politicians, women, duking it out. What would it look like if we really had Nikki Haley going against Kamala Harris for president? That'd be interesting. That would be interesting. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to save her for 2008. 28. I think they could save Nikki for 2028 and then move. And if Kamala has interest in running for president, that would be an interesting race. But you never know. Politics is shaky. You never know how it's going to play out. Just putting that out there. Just putting it out there. There's people that wrote op-eds that said they're okay with Biden doing another 4 years because it's going to set the stage for Kamala Harris. I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself on that. Moving on for now. Y'all don't hear what I think later. I just too soon. I'm gonna save my thoughts on that. Some of y'all might already know what I'm thinking. If you listen to the show long enough, you probably might already have an idea. But I'm just going to wait. I'm going to hold it. So other things has been going on. John Fetterman has been having a very wild week. Lots of things been going on with John Fetterman. We're going to talk more about John Fetterman later on. Senator John Fetterman, who's cool. He's been turning the tables, right? This Senate dress code shit. Yo, what's going on? So apparently the Senate has ruled that this dress code making senators have to wear suits and ties. Chuck Schumer has shut it down. Like they're not doing it. Basically, Fetterman won the fashion wars on this issue. As a result of that, Fetterman is going to continue to wear his hoodie. He's going to wear his jogger shorts. He's going to do what he wants to do. Because at the end of the day, Fetterman is doing the work that's necessary. He's taking stances. He's advocating for workers. I mean, I don't really care what he wears, to be honest. I don't care what none of these senators wear, to be honest. I think motherfuckers do their job. Because listen, you could be in a suit and basically make it harder for a woman to have an abortion and wear a suit and look respectable. Or you can be in a hoodie standing up for black and brown people's rights and workers' rights. And you know what? What you gonna take? So I would rather the man on the right side of history with a hoodie and jogger shorts than sit up here and have these stupid ass conversations. And to the black people, okay, my people that's having these conversations, please understand that I get it, right? You're a little salty and a little bitter that, the arguments we always make. If Fetterman was black, this wouldn't be the case. Yes, you're right. If Fetterman was black, this would not be the case. You're 100% correct. And I get it. And I feel that way. But honestly, that does not mean that just because you think you couldn't benefit from the double standard, that you should uphold the problematic respectability politics that still kill us. Yes, in this situation, yes, there is a double standard. But that double standard doesn't stop and start with a dress code policy, y'all. It's about skin color, y'all. And so the reality is that I don't think a dress code in the Senate is necessary. And I think it's fucked up. I think it's stupid. And yes, fuck the Washington Post opinion. They're like, the editorial board is like, they say nay to this, that there's a sanctity to the House. You know what's funny about this sanctity to dress code policy about the House? There was no sanctity when these motherfuckers did not impeach Trump, okay? They were in suits, basically being cowards before the American people, okay? This man created influence insurrection in this country. And literally you all are worried about a dress code policy, about the sanctity and respecting the dignity of the office. There are people that literally were killed on the Capitol, and people were still out here doing whataboutisms about fucking Trump. Fuck y'all. Fuck that. Fuck this dress code. I don't care. Let him wear what he wants to wear. Let anybody wear what they want to wear. And at the end of the day, this is so fucking tedious. National media spending all this energy discussing this and debating this. They sent somebody down to a 5-star restaurant or whatever to go wear the outfit and what it was like. Like, who cares? You know what's funny? People are really projecting a lot of their classes, elitist views on perception. And this is why people are racially profiled. And this is why people are getting discriminated against. And this is why all of these standards that you're enforcing on taxpayer dollar decisions to be made is quite frankly stupid and pointless, and we should move on. So, a lot is still going on. Republicans are fighting each other. What's new with the Republicans? They're eating each other alive. There's a lot going on. It sucks to be, Senator Kevin McCarthy, because just a week out of the government shutdown, that was a bore out of the House Republicans' ineptitude, which they're very much filled with ineptitude. There are some senators that are preparing to get off of the sidelines. This government shutdown situation that happened with Kevin McCarthy, we talked a little about that last week. The Republicans, they got the more radical people that's not trying to negotiate. There's conversation about taking money out of the war of Ukraine. I think they said $300 million, I think I read. But they're trying every little pay thing. See your people, democracy people, you see them, they hate the war in Ukraine. They don't want to support them. But y'all act like Democrats are the ones who are anti-politics and supporting, foreign domestic issues. But then look who showed their asses right now and is not letting these people live their best life. It's your friends, the Republicans. Told you. So yeah, right now there's some fighting that's taking place right now in in DC. There is some issues in Harrisburg, but DC Republicans are just not trying to make a decision on what to do with this whole government shutdown. I don't know if the government's going to shut down, but I know there are some people like, let's just move on. But there's a lot of infighting happening with them. And it's really interesting because they just can't get out their own way. But in an interesting twist of a fortune, Senator Bob Menendez has been charged with bribery in a federal indictment. He's indicted. He's being charged with bribery. He is a United States senator. He's a Democrat in New Jersey, Bob Menendez. And he's holding a lot of influence right now over government relations, foreign relations, and they're saying that he's taking bribes from foreigners and foreign folks to basically make decisions and make certain rules. And people from his own party, Democrats, are calling for him to resign. One of them is his fellow senator colleague, John Fetterman. John Fetterman has come out and asked for this man to resign, in addition to a lot of other New Jersey Democrats who are also asking the same thing. Now, let's be clear. This man has said that he is innocent. Just like Trump said that he is innocent. These people have declared their innocence. And so there is a court that makes a determination. There are still people that say, listen, your controversy right now, and these charges are serious. As right now, you need to take a break. This is some serious charges, and it's a distraction to the governmental process. They're going to use his indictment as a way to make it look like Democrats are corrupt. And here we are having corrupt Democratic conversations in the middle of a fucked up presidential season where every time they try to nail Trump down, there's something going on with the Democratic Party in some way. Whether it's Joe Biden's son Hunter, whether it's this shit now, it's always something that just keeps the distraction and the attention off of holding Republicans accountable. Somebody's got to get together over there. That's all I'm going to say. It's time to move forward and get this shit together. So, Philadelphia, okay? What's going on in Philly? City Council, you all know last week I was in Chicago, so I couldn't come. But I will be back, okay? I will be back this upcoming Thursday, City Council Live, hosted by yours truly. I will be in the building hosting an incredible show. So let me tell you what happened, though. People have been chattering about Jamie Gautier. Another week, another Jamie Gautier controversy. So Jamie Gautier was in a photo that I shared on Twitter. That she was at an event with none other than laborers leader, Philadelphia building trades leader Ryan Boyer. Now Ryan Boyer is in favor of the Chinatown gentrification. He's in favor of the 76ers arena, which will impact Chinatown. Me and him are cool. We have a very cordial relationship. We agree to disagree on this issue. It is very concerning to me. I don't support the 76ers arena. He argues that it is pro-union, pro-jobs, pro-labor, and that's why people should support it. I believe that we shouldn't create this dichotomy between if you don't support this, you don't support workers. But this is how people play. When people play for what they want, they play all types of games. And when you're the leader of a very powerful labor union like the building trades and these groups, then what you say sticks, even if it may not necessarily be fair. Gautier was in a notable, Democratic blue dress alongside of Ryan Boyer, who wore the T-shirt, y'all, the pro Chinatown Arena T-shirt. And that, my friends, was wild. Because part of me is sitting here looking like, why would you be in this photo with him, knowing the optics, knowing what this could look like and what this means? This was interesting. So his shirt said pro-jobs, pro-union, pro-arena. And it was a Democratic blue that matched the blue in her dress. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you in this photo smiling with him? They're smiling and being chummy. And it's like, is this an endorsement? Are you co-signing this Chinatown thing? I don't know. But it's interesting that she would be in this outfit, with him. She didn't wear the T-shirt. He wore the T-shirt. She just had a dress that matched the colors of the shirt. And so I shared it on my Twitter. You could check it out there. But it says a lot about politicians and politics. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm just going to say that. It's very, 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 very telling. Very telling. So, last week, the big announcement, I broke this exclusive. This is last week's big secret that I couldn't say last week, but the news is out. John Fetterman has endorsed Kendra Brooks and Nicholas O'Rourke for city council at large. Two working family party candidates. This is very telling. He endorsed two working family party candidates during the election. He said the decision was easy. He says he's supporting them because he wants to get Republicans out. His fellow colleagues, which I don't disagree, I understand it now. His fellow colleagues, Democratic colleagues, some of them, have joined him. Art Haywood has endorsed Nicholas. Josh Shapiro endorsed Kendra. But there's been a lot of endorsements being made for these candidates from the Democratic Party, and it's really pissing former Congressman Bob Brady, who is the leader of the Philadelphia Democratic City Committee, right? He's dealing with his things. It's a lot of things going on between the two of them, but so much is happening with these endorsements. And at some point, it's time to have the real conversation. The real conversation is in what's really happening. What are people really doing? What are people trying to do? The Democrats' logic is that the rules in their belief are the rules. If you are a member of the Democratic Party, you can only endorse Democrats. You can't endorse third-party candidates. That's just the guiding principle that's a part of the local election rules and also the state Democratic Party rules. Those are the rules. And it's obvious that these individuals have broken those rules. But then the next question becomes the fear of, if there's a majority of working family party people getting these votes, could they knock out a Democrat in a position and a Republican can win? Not true. It's not numerically possible. So there's always this question of, if we go hard and support a third party candidate against a Republican, will a Democrat suffer or who you tell people not to vote for? What's interesting about these Democrats who do endorse Nicholas or Kendra, I don't see them publicly endorsing any of the Democrats. They kind of know that whoever got that Democratic nomination in spring is going to win in the general because Democrats outweigh Republicans like what 4 to 5 or something like that, 5 to 7. It's a really crazy number, but Democrats outweigh Republicans massively. So there doesn't seem to be any massive buildup for any Republican to win an at-large seat that can topple over what the Democrats are doing. I mean, this is a situation where this last primary, two Democrats both got that ran for at-large got over 100,000 votes apiece. Isaiah Thomas, who came in at number 1, and Catherine Gilmore Richardson, that came in number 2. They both got over 100,000 votes in the primary. I say all of that to say that, when they went for the general again, in combination of the other Democrats that will win, I don't see any of these third party challengers doing higher than them, but then Republicans doing higher than Democrats. Like, I just don't, the numbers don't add up. It's not going to happen. I do believe there's a strong, strong chance for Nicholas and Kendra to win. So that's my thoughts on that. Speaking of Republicans, KYW Radio has released that Sherelle Parker and David O are going to be debating. There will be a mayoral debate in the general election cycle. I'm surprised because it looked like, Sherelle was going to get out of there without no hiccups, without any problems. But she's going to take on David O. They're going to have a debate. It's going to be on October 26th. And I think I heard 8 a.m. is going to be a morning debate or something. Really interesting. But they did morning debates while people were doing a morning drive, which is fun because while you're driving to work, you can hear this debate. But, who wants to start their morning hearing a debate? But I also think they thought to themselves, how can they take advantage? So, yes, it is going to be on October 26th at 8 a.m. The debate is going to be. And so far, it's the only scheduled showdown between the November 7th general election, which it will be on Tuesday, November 7th. But I'm just like, wow, an 8 a.m. debate. So you got to get up early, make it on time, and, be live. It's going to be interesting seeing that. October 26th is going to be on a Thursday, too. So Thursday, 8 a.m., which I believe not the following week, but the following week after the following week will be the election. So this is about roughly a week and a half before the election will be. So I'm curious to see who's going to be in that debate, who's going to engage, I know who's going to be in the debate, but how are they going to, this can get ugly. There's been a lot of mud being thrown, a lot of rumors, it's been a lot of stuff happening. So I'm curious to see how this debate's going to happen. I don't know if they announced who the moderator is going to be, but I'm excited to see it. We're not even see it, to hear it, because it's going to be on radio. So, good luck. Also want to talk about this briefly in Philly. It's been a sad past week. Two Black women legends in higher education passed away like back to back this past week. Dr. Constance Clayton, who died at 90, she's legendary, y'all. She was the first Black woman, first Black person, first woman to ever be the superintendent for the city of Philadelphia, the school district of Philadelphia. She was a superintendent. She was the first to do that, the first Black person to do that, the first woman to do that many years ago. She's a legend. She passed away. But another big passing that is just still just so sad, and how it happened. 72 years old, Joanne A. Epps. She was a law professor in 1985. She was the law school, the dean of the law school from 2008 to 2016, which was 24 years. Then she became a provost from 2016 to 2021. And then um, she became an acting president after Jason, the black president of Temple, Jason Wingard had resigned. And basically, she was at a university event and basically died falling ill on stage last Tuesday afternoon during an event. She basically died after falling ill on stage. And it's just sad. It's so sad. 72 years old, Temple University. What a legacy. Um, what a legacy. I mean, there's a lot of black lawyers um, who came out of her leadership. My lawyer is one of the people that came out of her leadership as the dean, as a black woman dean of Temple. And then she went on to do that, then become the provost and then get involved. She left an indelible mark on everybody. Yeah, it was a lot. It's been a lot. She was the acting president of Temple. And Wingard's resignation came on the heels of months of controversy and a lot of concerns from key stakeholders about Temple's future. Um, Temple has recently launched a search for their university's new leader. So there's going to be something to be seen for it. But she became the interim president this past April. And it's just sad. She passed away in the middle of being present on campus at 72. And I think to a certain extent, it's raised questions in the black community, especially in Philly, around leadership community spaces about, how long we put people in these tough roles. Thinking about her health, that was a stressful job. And she was past the age of retirement. And we should just think about that. I know people argue, is that ageism? It's not ageism. It's just the reality. Like I think about Biden. We're having this conversation about Biden right now. How many, we should just create better succession plans. We need to start thinking about who's next behind. We should not assume that everybody's is going to be here forever and ever and ever. Dr. Clayton lived to be 90, right? But she stopped working for a long time. But we should have conversations about succession plans and leadership transitions and things to just make sure that people don't get overworked, that they're not taking on stressful jobs at that age, because it takes a toll on health. It takes a toll on wellness. And I see it happen too much. So in other news, there was some major, massive layoffs that happened at the Boston University Center for Anti-Racist Research. Um, um, there's been a lot of talk about what's going on over there, and I, for one, it's been a lot. Um, there was some massive layoffs that happened a couple weeks ago that got people talking, but now the situation has gotten more interesting. So Boston University had hired Ibram X. Kendi to lead their Center for Anti-Racist Research in 2020. And that was, based on what was going on with the racial uprisings. 2020 was a big year. But 3 years later, this organization, this new program, this research program, had raised $43 million in grants and gifts. And people have been saying it's been an underwhelming amount of research that's come out of that center. And they laid off almost all of their staff. But now what's coming out is that they've been accused of mismanagement of funds and disorganization. There's been a lot of concerns. And so this $43 million which was is according to the 2021 budget records. Now, the Daily Free Press, which is the student paper, they are the independent student newspaper at Boston University. They're the ones who've been doing a lot of work on this. Now, if y'all don't remember exactly who Ibram X. Kendi is, he is the author of the book How to Be an Anti-Racist. And he was a Andrew W. Mellon professor in the humanities and history. And he found that center, that center 3 years ago to do this work. But there's a lot going on there. And they were saying that, the $43 million included general support. They received $10 million from the Twitter co-founder, Jack Dorsey. And then there was the donations for specific projects, which was interesting. There was the document, which has a list of donors, also listed TJ Maxx's foundation, Stop and Shop, and Peloton as donating over $1 million. So there was a lot of money given. But now people are saying that after a week of layoffs, the university said they received complaints that focus on the center's culture and its grant management practices. There's a lot. They said they're expanding their inquiry to include the center's management culture and the faculty and staff's experience with it. This is what the spokesperson had told the paper. They said Boston University and Dr. Kendi believe strongly in the center's mission and ... He takes strong exception to the allegations made in recent complaints and media reports. But I have to say that there has been a lot of complaints. It's been quiet over there, and people were trying to figure out what was going on. But there is a lot of different people coming forward to share experiences that they had, which they're not good. There was an op-ed that came out recently by a guy named Felipe Copeland in the Daily Beast. The op-ed reads, it's an opinion piece. It's called What I Saw While Working at Ibram Kendi's Anti-Racism Center. It's very telling. He talks in first person about his experience, talked about how there was a lot of ideas he had, but nothing can make it through, that there was a lot of bureaucracy and ego and all these other aspects that made that experience difficult for him. And he's very frank about it. He shares a lot of details. You can check it out on their site and read it. If you go to the politics tab of the Daily Beast, you could be able to scroll down. It's a picture of Ingram. And it's very sad to hear. But it just seems like a lot of this money, man, this money. You got to regulate. You got to put out production. You got to put out pieces. You got to make it make sense why people are supporting. You got to have something to show for it. As somebody who has been over organizations currently and formerly that had tons of thousands upon thousands of dollars, you got to show people what you're using money for. You got to raise money, maintain money, but also invest money. And you got to create programming and keep things active to prove the necessity and engagement for the funds. There's a lot of people that can raise money, but you got to show how you're using money, investing in money, and doing things with the money to make a difference. So shout out to them for that, for talking about that, for speaking forward. This must not have been easy. So in other news, because this week has been very lively, Libra season is in full effect. Rupert Murdock, who was the long, big wig over Fox News, is resigning, and his son Lachlan Murdock is taking over. Now, some of you have been asking, what does this mean? What does this mean? It don't mean a damn thing, y'all. Lachlan Murdock is a goddamn conservative, and honestly, unlike his other brother, the Murdoch brothers, his other brother is more liberal and progressive, clearly. But Lachlan is not. Lachlan is like 50, in his early 50s. He's pretty much in the same cesspool of his father's crazy, kooky, conservative problems. And honestly, Donald Trump got them fucked because they really, literally cannot stand Trump, but they understood what Trump did for the ratings and did for them with their money-hungry aspirations. So they did all that. They kept juicing it. And so that over $700 million settlement with Dominion over lies of election fraud. What a major media lawsuit. And a lot of people just thought, oh, that's not a big deal. Fox is going to keep doing what they're going to do. Well, Tucker Carlson had to fall on the sword. And Tucker Carlson has been bitter every fucking since. But thank God that man is not as relevant as he used to be, because he literally fell from fucking grace. He was considered at one point earlier in recent years, Tucker Carlson was, and I said this on my podcast, y'all remember this, the most powerful man in media. Like, no media personality in this current era had as much influence and power as Tucker Carlson. Like, he had the highest, most rated show, even if it was filled with misinformation. But how powerful it was is that it literally would change the trajectory of what would happen to politicians and who was there. The Trump, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson threesome that was going on, that literally kept Fox News high in the ratings and made them a ratings juggernaut. They've been struggling with ratings ever since Tucker Carlson has left. And also, let's not forget Bill O'Reilly, which I used to grow up watching years ago. Don't judge me. But Bill O'Reilly is out. And so you don't have many of the heavy hitters. I mean, who's listening to Laura Ingraham? Like, no one's listening to her. Sean Hannity, he's still there for a little bit, but he ain't got the same fire he used to have. There's just no, the five, what is that? Corny. But there's no real Fox News fire. A lot of journalists and people that played around with Fox News, okay, they can't afford their reputation to get taken, because when you leave Fox, you know where you're going to go. Now, there was one guy on there that people used to think was part of the community, longtime guy who was there. I am going to look his name up because Shepard Smith, who I guess is now out. Shepard Smith recently talked about being the token gay at Fox News. So Shepard Smith is out. Okay, I must be wrong. Shepard Smith is out, but he talked about being the token gay at Fox News for 25 years. And now he's apparently doing some work at CNBC or some other places, I believe now. But he went to NOGJA, the National Journalists Association Convention in 2021, and he spoke, and I guess he's a part of CNBC now, Shepard Smith is. But he gave some advice to aspiring journalists, and he talked about, he discussed the gay stereotype and the dangers of being pigeonholed as a gay journalist. He says, quote, I am not here to be your token, Smith told Gomez of his own experiences. I don't want to be the gay journalist. I want to be the journalist who is gay. I hear that. So he shared his perspectives, but he used to be at Fox News. He's not there now. He's at CNBC. But, it's interesting to see what's going on over there. But like I said before, I just don't know if they can make a new star. There's that other annoying guy who's on there. It's funny because I don't. You can tell I don't watch Fox News, but I want to make sure I have these people's names right, because there's a couple of folks that's on the shows that Jesse Waters. Oh my God, Jesse Waters wanted me to come on his show once, but that's another friend of the day. But I'm thinking about who's the people on there. But they don't have the same folks. Gutfeld, and it's just corny. It's corny. So yeah, I don't think much is going to change there, and I'm going to leave it at that. Now, there is some hot news going on. I know a lot of you are asking about this. George R.R. Martin, other famous authors, are joining this lawsuit against OpenAI. A lot of people are suing them. Jodi Picoult, John Gribson, Jonathan Franzen, they're among the 17 prominent authors who have joined this suit with the Authors Guild. They're being led by the Authors Guild, and this is a big deal for those who don't know who the Authors Guild is. They're a professional organization that protect writers' rights. They filed in the Southern District of New York, and the suit is basically saying that OpenAI's models directly harm writers' abilities to make a living wage, as the technology generates text that writers could be paid to use, as well as using copyrighted material to create copycat work. Oh, y'all in trouble. Generative AI is threatening to disseminate the author profession, the Authors Guild wrote in a press release last week. I'm here for it. Sue the fuck out of them. Y'all know I like that AI stuff, that chat GPI. As a writer, you're not going to take my copy and then try to remix it into something that's going to help other people scam. Fuck out of here. Not happening. So stay woke on that. Now, to the things that y'all been interested in. Okay, Nicki Minaj's husband, Kenneth Petty. Now, y'all know the Pettys. Surviving the Pettys. Y'all know the Pettys. Kenneth Petty and Nicki Minaj is a regular on the Ernestly Speaking podcast. I have talked about them at arm's length over and over again. And, last week, see, this is why it's important to listen to this podcast, because last week, remember I told you all that I was concerned about the situation and I really wanted people to not get in trouble. But it has been a problem. In court documents that were filed last Wednesday, Kenneth Petty has been sentenced to 120 days of house arrest. Y'all, that is 4 months, by a federal judge in Los Angeles after he was recorded on video, quote, making threatening remarks toward a specific individual while in the company of someone with a criminal record. Now, this is Zoo and him when they were outside of Offset's, I guess, residence. They were harassing and taunting Offset. And now that has been a problem. And so Kenneth Petty, who's Nicki Minaj's husband, has been placed under house arrest for violating the terms of his probation. And y'all know what his probation is. It's time to keep it 100. Y'all know what is going on, okay? There's been a problem that they've been having with this issue, because this is the issue, okay? Petty's remarks violate the probation which he was sentenced to in July of 2022. That was last summer. This was at the time he was sentenced to 3 years probation and a year of in-home detention, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, after pleading guilty to failing to register as a sex offender in the state of California in 2020. This is when Nicki went to New York and California. It was all that drama. He was required to register as a sex offender because he was convicted of the first-degree attempted rape of a 16-year-old girl in 1995, which he was sentenced to 18 to 15 months and was ultimately served 4 years in prison. Now, the alleged rape victim previously filed a lawsuit against Minaj, who is 40, and her husband, in which she accused them of attempting to intimidate her into dropping the rape accusation in 2021. However, the case against Minaj was dropped the following year. According to documents, that case was dropped. However, there's been a lot of drama between them. And, Jennifer Hugh is the woman who, was a victim of Kenneth Petty. Kenneth Petty was convicted. She's a victim of Kevin Petty, of an attempted rape, first-degree attempted rape. He was convicted. She was a victim. And her attorney said at the time of this, he told this to People magazine, the case against Nicki was voluntarily dismissed. The case against Kenneth Petty is still ongoing. Stay tuned. So Jennifer Hugh basically voluntarily dismissed that case against Nicki. That's what the lawyer said. But Kenneth Petty is still out there. It's a lot going on between them. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I said to people, it needs to be peace. Nicki was on Queen Radio. People thought she seemed a little inebriated. Something was going on. She did not discuss the situation at hand. Initially, she was claiming she was going to tell everybody who was the person that was out here, causing her house to be raided. And then she showed up on camera a little. People assumed she was high. She denies being on quote unquote nose candy. But, she just seemed to it was just, I don't get it. I don't get it. What a way to erode your legacy. So, yeah. Now, this week's Ask Ernest is a very interesting conversation. Last week's Ask Ernest, by the way, update y'all. So, last week I was asked about, there was a woman who had saw me at an event and asked me, was her man cheating? And the update, y'all, is she said that they are talking it through and trying to work it out. No comment. Okay, your Ask Ernest is what would I do? Not that, but to each their own, to each their own. Everybody, everybody deserves a second chance. I don't know that chance because they are literally engaged. All of the things they were dealing with, they should have dealt with that before they said I do, or not I do, but yeah, will you marry me? Yes. But before all of that happened, before she said yes, whatever you had in your system, you need different. I am very much of the class that believes that when you're engaged, when you're married, that's it. That's it. Like any little whole situation you got going on, you better get that together. Look, when you're in a relationship, you're trying to figure it out, you dating somebody, you're trying to get in the groove, I get it. But when you are engaged, when you're married, oh no. You better be 100% sure that's what you want to do. Especially if you the one who got on your knee. He got on his knee. You wasn't Christy. You didn't get on your knee, girl. He got on his knee. So if he gonna get on his knee and tell you that's what he want to do, then he need to say what he mean and mean what he say. That's my opinion. So this week's Ask Ernest is a little interesting, a little different. This is a couple. It's interesting. I love to have diversity. So I mean, of course, on this show we do not do names, but there is important context you need to know to understand this. So this is a couple. This is a woman. She is Indian. She's dating a man who is white. It's an interracial couple. She's Indian. She's been dating him for 2 years. She is a fan of the podcast and she listens all the way. Well, not all the way, but she lives in Boston, funny enough. Okay, Boston. Shout out to Boston. Y'all making some headlines over here, honestly speaking. And I love Boston because, Boston had me come for the tour not once, but twice. I went to Harvard Bookstore and I came back for Northeastern University, and Boston showed me a lot of love. So shout out to Boston. Just want to say that. And go to Earl's. Earl's in Boston was the hit. It was a good restaurant. It was a really good restaurant in Boston. Shout out to Earl's. Okay, so back to this conversation. So she's Indian American and he is just white, Caucasian. They're been dating. She's been married before. This is important detail, y'all. She's been married before. Her past lover was also a white man. Just for context. They're in their late 30s. They live in Boston. She's, a fan of the show. She's asking Ernest. So I'm going to read what she says. Let me pull up my IG DMs. And as you know, every week, Ask Ernest is available. We take the top ones. We had a couple of interesting ones. Some of these, I was like, it's a little too messy for this podcast. But thank you for letting me know how you feel. But then there's also good ones that people can hear too. So, yeah, let me put this up. So, hi Ernest, it was great listening to your podcast last week. I love listening to your podcast every single week. I'm a super fan. I want to talk to you about my crazy relationship right now, and I have a question for you. Me and my boyfriend, who is white, have been together for 2 years. He is, okay, I'm not going to put his industry out there, girl, because that might be too telling. And I'm not going to put what school y'all go to because that could be a little nosy. But it's Boston, so it's only a couple schools in Boston that they, could have been connected with. So she says he works at a university. I'll put that much information. He works at a university. I won't put what he does. And she is in the restaurant industry. Dope. Cool. I ain't gonna tell what restaurant she work at either, but that's their background. She says, I've been previously married to a white guy in a different city, and we divorced after 4 years of marriage. Me and blank have been together for the past 2, and the relationship has been pretty good. However, recently there has been problems with his family. During the Labor Day weekend, I went over to a barbecue that his mother was hosting. And in conversation, she talked about our dating situation. And in one moment, she asked me if I had a bunch of kids. My answer was no, because I didn't have children my last. And my current boyfriend has no children as well. But I was taken offended by it, and I asked her, why would she ask that? Her response back to me is, people from your culture tend to have a lot of kids, so I'm surprised you don't have any. I felt like the comment was racist. I didn't want to make a scene. I had seen the family several weeks, but, in the entire time of the relationship, we had seen each other. Let me get through this. Hold on, I'm moving up. She says, I've been around the family for a while. There had always been awkward experiences, but never would I have thought that she would say something this outright racist. I told my boyfriend about it. He definitely agreed with me that what she said was problematic, but I've been trying to push him to confront her on this issue and say something. He says that he thinks he needs to have the conversation with me, in person when we get together next month. I told him he should just have the conversation before she pretends she forgets because she typically do shit like that. LOL. That's what she said in her words. This is one of the first real issues we've had with racism in our relationship. I listen to your podcast as you talk about race relations often. And in this situation, I feel like he means well, but I think he should step up and say something sooner. What should I do? Mm-hmm. This is heavy. This is a lot. Not a lot to chew. Like, I think, first of all, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, what? So, first of all, I didn't know there was a rumor that Indian people have big families. I mean, I guess Indian people, I guess often, I don't know. I don't know what to think. Okay, but yes, you're right. That's racist. And when you asked her why she said it, she just doubled down on saying that she think people from your community or group are known for having a lot of families, and she thought you had a kid. She was trying to ask you, was your baby mama? Did you have a kid or something? I don't know what she was trying to imply, but that shit was awkward. Now, I'm confused because now it seems to me that you said you all have been around, so shouldn't this already been a conversation already? Like, had kids not already come up? Are you and him talking about marriage? It seems like you have a good relationship according to you. I'm just not understanding why she took it upon herself to really get into, your business like that. That's a little much. Now, when it comes to the boyfriend, I'm assuming he has a good relationship with his mother. Because a lot of white men do sometimes. They're not like all like Eminem and Kim and all that. Well, Kim's the white ex-wife, but his, Lil Wayne, not Lil Wayne, Eminem had problems with, he had problems with his mother, but it seemed like he has a good relationship with his mom. I am okay. I don't think that he should prolong this. I agree with you. I don't think he should wait until next month to have this conversation and have it in person. I think that's dragging it. And quite frankly, I feel like that's making it more than what needs to be, really. I do think there needs to be a conversation, but I think doing this in-person stuff is just, dragging it. It's like, no, that's your girl. Like, I know that's not your wife. I know that's not your fiance yet. Maybe, who knows, maybe one day. But if this is someone you're dating and this is racism, it's 2023. Like, none of this shit is acceptable. You need to correct the record, right? You need to stand up for your girl, because this is the thing I tell people all the time. I tell all my white people, if you're going to date somebody from the color gang, you better make sure you are mentally, emotionally, and prepared to stand up and be that person, because some people can't do it. Like, listen, I'm married. I like a black man. I'm with a black man. I'm black. I'm with a black man. That's just what it is for me. But, I've never been in a racial relationship before in my life. It's not to say that they have not been attracted to me. It's just that I was preoccupied. And let me say this, what I mean by preoccupied. I wasn't preoccupied saying I don't like white people. I'm just saying that I never had time to date a white man because I was in all the diaspora. I was talking to Black American, East Coast American, West Coast American. Like, it was so many varieties of black people that I never got a chance to swirl. And I don't feel like I'm missing anything, to be honest. I think some people, they feel like they got to do everything before they, jump the broom. I don't. I'm very happy where I'm at. But, different strokes to different folks, no pun intended. But these are the situations, right? I don't know personally what it's like to be in a relationship where there is a possibility of my lover's family members being racist towards me. I don't know what that would be like. I don't know how I would react. But it ain't cute. It wouldn't be anything nice either. So I do feel sometimes, I do, and the reality is it's not nice for the person that's in that situation, that's black or brown, because you're in this situation, right? And you're taking on, you got to deal with the racism in the world. Now you got to deal with that shit in your own house. That's not a good look. And again, to white people that get in relationships with people of color, whether they're black, Indian, Asian, whatever, You got to have a level of cultural competency and awareness and understanding of how that level of marginalization and disrespect impacts your lover. And that shit, again, I don't know what it feels like in this regard, but I know how it feels to be impacted by racism. And if you feel the empathy for your partner and how they deal with racism in their life, then you should not stop having that empathy when it impacts the relationship. You should be prepared for it. I feel like anybody out here who's about to get in a relationship or an interracial relationship or whatever the case is, you need to be prepared to recognize that in this situation, you're going to see some ugly aspects of people in your family and in your friend circle. You might have to cut some people off. You might have to distance yourself from family members. You're going to have to make certain decisions because not everybody is going to be as happy about you and yours as you and yours, which means that if they're not ready for that and you don't know if that's going to happen, then you might need to leave that relationship alone, to be honest, because there is a lot that's going to happen, you know? Being out, being proud, being gay, being in a gay relationship, I knew that being public and being in that way, that there were going to be people in my industry and in my network that were going to act funny about it. This was years ago. But like, I knew that some people wasn't going to stick around for the ride. And I had to tell them people, thank you for your services. You sometimes have to be that way with people. You have to actually tell some people, fuck you, bye. So when it comes to relationship, someone that you're living with, sleeping with, dealing with in a way that you care about them, you should not let anybody have the runway or the ability to think they can disrespect your person without them being immediately checked. And so my advice to you, to him, and it's a shame that you even have to go through this labor. I mean, the fact that you had to ask Ernest what to do in this situation, girl, he's already losing. Sorry, he just is. The fact that you had to ask me what your white boyfriend should do in a situation involving racism, baby, it's already over for me. But I'm a little too, you know what I'm saying? I'm different. So I'm not gonna intrigue and pry too much in the relationship outside of this question. But what I will say to you is that if it make you uncomfortable, which it sounds like it's making you uncomfortable, you need to just tell him straight up what he needs to do. And just let it be known this is what it feels like. And that the fact that you even have to do this is already taxing, and that he needs to find a way to make up for that as well. So you need to get you a little spa date. You need to get that. You need to get all those things. And you also need to get this man to check his mother, because that shit's not okay. I mean, if y'all agree it's racist, y'all understand it's problematic, so then what the fuck are you waiting for? Get on the phone with her and call her and let her know today. All this waiting until October. That sounds like buying time. That sounds like you waiting for her to get a lie together. Or she act like she didn't happen and gaslight this girl potentially. A lot of things can happen in between now and October. So I don't like that. After you hear this podcast, tell him to go call her immediately. Like, it needs to happen now. Because if it don't, what's going to happen is it's going to manifest into a problem. And if the mother thinks that, and you are two are women, so it's like you are an Indian American woman, and you're dealing with this older white woman. You're in your late 30s. You're in your 30s, you're youngish. You're dealing with this woman. This is going to be the culture. If it doesn't get nutted the butt now, it's going to be a situation. And then eventually, it's going to cause other problems in relationships. So if y'all are serious about trying to make this work, you need to just go ahead and tell him that you don't think that's the move. That's not what you want. And as the person who's been afflicted, you have the right to set your demands with your man. So that's what I would do. That's my advice. So with movies that have come out, I've been catching up on some things. There is a really good documentary on Netflix called BS High. It is a really good documentary. So good. Highly recommended. It's this story. It's called Bishop, BS Bishop something. It's Bishop Sagamore. Oh my God, Bishop Sagamore High. It's not a real school, by the way. This man basically it's a true story, all true, interview everybody involved in the story. It's heartbreaking, it's insightful, it's interesting. It reminds me when I hate sports. This school was basically supposed to be a top football training school that was going to help kids get to the pros. And so they basically create this fake school, which again is not illegal. None of this stuff is illegal apparently. They created a fake school, got a bunch of kids to recruit, made them take fucking loans, all this money to basically be a part of this football training program. This man got them on ESPN competing against the top high school football program in the country. This shit is wild. It's bizarre. It's gross. It's ugly. It's embarrassing. It's conversation about race, football. It's just so good. It's called BS High. BS High. And it's funny because it's like, it's supposed to be it's Bishop Sacklemore, but then it's like bullshit high, get the double entendre between the BS. Really, really good documentary. Another show that is pretty good that's been getting some good buzz on is Interview with the Vampire. The show has its first season that's available on Max. Very, very good subversive show. Dramatic, bloody, vampires, romance, sex, but an angle of queerness and race integrated in the storyline. Now, the original Interview with a Vampire came out in the early 90s. It was a book by Anne Rice, which the book is really good. I read the book years ago when I was in college, but they made a movie back in the day. That was that one with Tom Cruise, which I think people should watch to compare and contrast this Interview with the Vampire versus this new show. Well, the other cool part about the show is that the one actress in the show, she has a supporting role. Her name is Kaylin Coleman. I went to Penn with her back in 2014. We graduated in 2014, but we went to school together from our freshman to our senior year, and we actually spent a lot of time together and really, really know each other. So people like, I went to school with this person. There's a lot of people that do that with me. Like, I went to school with Ernest. Like, and if people tell me who the person, I barely know who the fuck that is. No, Caitlin Coleman, we definitely know each other. Like, I actually have her cell phone number. And I know her parents. They're really sweet. She's on Broadway right now in another show that's happening, but she also did this role. They're coming back for a second season. I don't know when, but it's going to be really exciting to see how it progresses. But it is a really interesting show if you want to binge on a rainy day. Also, speaking of Netflix and streaming channels and everything, Netflix is officially done with home DVD deliveries. There are no more DVDs. They're not doing them anymore, which I'm shocked they were still doing them. But officially this week, the company had announced that they're officially done with DVD delivery. So for folks that have been holding on to, your platinum editions and stuff, I don't know what to tell you. I don't even know. So I actually made me think, I had to call my mom earlier this week. I was like, where are my DVDs at? I had an extensive collection of Disney DVDs. Y'all, remember the platinum editions, like the big 2-disc deluxe edition DVDs? I had all of them. Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. I had a VHS collection that was out of this world. And then I got DVDs to go with the VHSs because I was so obsessed. So yes, I have VHSs and I have DVDs. That is how oldish I am becoming. But then they tried to do Blu-ray, and no one got into Blu-ray. I was never into Blu-ray. I heard about Laserdisc, which is like the early DVD before DVD. I got as a collector's item because I used to collect Disney and like all the Disney collectibles. And they had, it was just called like Laserdisc. This is for my people that are Gen Xers. This is not for millennials, young millennials. Older millennials, maybe. Y'all might remember Laserdiscs. I never used it personally, but I got one when I was at a thrift store. I used to go to thrift store shopping when I was younger and get like these collectible things. And they had laser discs for those who remember that. I still remember CDs, like CD discs for compacts, and like how people tried to run with those. They were called like walkers and jeggers. Like you want to hold that compact disc, you had to switch them out. Or do y'all remember like the little like library where you could take the CDs out the cases, but you could put a bunch of them and not get them scratched in a little like closer container? It's a lot of memories, nostalgia. But speaking of which, not nostalgia, but I was watching HBO Max, and I also watched Meg versus Tory, the documentary. It's a 2-part documentary. This is a group. I don't know who they are, but they did it so fast. There was a couple of cameos made by some journalists I recognized. But if you wanted to understand the Meg and Tory situation, and you've been waiting for something to watch, this is it. It's literally it's very brief. It's like 2 hours. There's like part 1, which is Megan's experience, and then part 2, which is Tory's experience. And it has a interesting conclusion, which is, we all know what's going to happen to Tory. But like, it gives you all the background between why they did, what was going on between them, their relationship, everything. Very good. Very good documentary. There's also one that I watched because I was bored. The Kim and Kanye divorce, like their Kim versus Kanye, the divorce between them. They did that documentary as well. It was interesting. Like they show Kanye's life. They basically the documentary basically is outright say, listen, Kanye made Kim to be the serious celebrity that she is. Okay. But they also talk about Kanye. Like both sides. So one episode is like a 2 episode part documentary. One episode is about Kanye's point of view or Kanye's side, and then they do Kim's side. And honestly, that was pretty good because it made me understand the conversations between both Kim and Kanye. What's the difference between them? And so I walked away having a different thought about it. I did walk away. Now, let me be clear. I'm not Team Kanye. I walked away having a little bit more empathy for Kim Kardashian, even though she's got some issues too. I saw a lot more. I saw a lot more nuance than I expected. Put that there. So yeah, that's my things for TV. Also, it gets me into music. So the Lizzo, well, there's a lot going on. Lizzo got this lawsuit that's happening. She's got another lawsuit. A fashion designer is also accusing her of harassment, all this drama. We're just gonna have to see how it plays out. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say I don't know who to believe. I believe, I don't want to like a broken record when I say this, but it's like there's her truth, their truth, and something in the middle is the truth, right? Her side, their side, and in the middle is the truth. I think something went down. But there's a part of me that kind of also feels like some of this stuff is being exaggerated. Some of this stuff is being a pile on. And I just need to see more to fully weigh in. But I'm going to say this, though. Where there is smoke, there is fire. And so that's just where I'm at with it. I don't know. Interesting enough, in Houston, Beyonce, of course, came to Houston with her show this past weekend. It's been a huge, lots of energy. Everybody at the Beyonce concert. Everybody found them some money that they said they don't have. It's funny this year. I'm going to say this, and it might be a little classist. But, everyone does a lot of the folks, and I'm talking about the creative community. I ain't talking about everyday working people. But you know how everybody just be on Twitter talking about GoFundMe's, I need money for this, I can't survive, I can't this, I can't that. But then I see people at these concerts. And I'm not saying people can't have fun, but I just think, I'm just a person. I am, one thing about me, and I'm not judging people in legitimate need. Emphasis on legitimate need. But I've been fortunate enough to not be in a position where I need to create a GoFundMe for people to pay for things or to do anything because I work. And I also am somebody who recognizes also that I don't want to make people pay for things that are not legitimately connected to legitimate need and labor. So I will never ask people for money collectively because number one, is a lot of people out here got to work and do things and whatnot. I don't ever ask people for money. I've never asked people for money for things that are like personal. Like, okay, if I want to go to Beyonce concert, I'm not going to go fund people to fund me to go to Beyonce concert. Like, number one, I'm not entitled to go to Beyonce concert. And number two, your social responsibility should not be to feel sorry for me to give me money to go to a concert that honestly everyone's and their mother's fine to go to. To me, if I needed food, which is a necessity, and I was out of food and there was no food pantry, well, first of all, you don't need to be GoFunding money for food because there are plenty of good food pantries out here and places to eat. North Broad Street Ministry got respected chefs in Philly cooking food over there. Okay, it's some good food. Some of the food is better than some of the food you get at Wawa. There are food pantries, right? But I'm just saying that to me, when I think about situations like a person in a car accident and there's medical bills that they were not expecting to get, yes, I'm going to give you money for that. Because this American medical system is fucked up, okay? Yes, I'm going to give you money to help you get crutches. I'm going to give you money for a necessary surgery. But I've never been somebody who just have felt like when I see people asking everyday regular folks for services and things, I've always been the person to tell people, don't take advantage of people's resources like that, or ask your close friends or something. But like to see people that do that often on social media, but then turn around and go to concerts and go to stuff and parties like they got it. I don't know. That's like a personal piece for me. Maybe I'm not seeing it the same way. Maybe I don't want to. Everybody can agree to disagree, but I just feel like you should definitely be mindful about how you ask for mutual aid. because mutual aid is scarce in a society where trans folks are not getting access to resources, disabled people, black and brown folks in communities. We got to be just thoughtful about how we ask for mutual aid. Just because people have it, don't mean you should take it. That's just my philosophy on that. So, back to Houston. Meg was there. She showed up to the concert. She performed. We knew that was coming. We knew that the Citizens concert delay, where we knew Meg was coming, okay, due to unforeseen circumstances. Yes, the unforeseen circumstance of Beyonce calling you and asking you, girl, can you come to Houston this weekend, right? Lizzo was there. DC6. DC as in Destiny's Child. All of the members are coming. Farrah was there. I said, what is going on? I know what's happening. I foresee a DC. I'm hearing rumors that there could potentially be a Destiny's Child 25th reunion comeback tour. Apparently NSYNC is getting back together. They trying to do some stuff together. I mean, NSYNC don't look good anymore, to be honest. I don't know if they can still sing anymore either. I don't know what's going on. I guess Justin Timberlake's career musically has tanked enough that now he needs to be back with the group. Kind of like Omarion when he got back with B2K for the tour. Because them solo artists be feeling themselves. But Beyonce clearly wants to be on tour with the girls. I mean, there's rumors that there's going to be a new Destiny's Child album. There's rumors that there's going to be a new tour. I don't know who wants this, but I guess people do, I suppose. Clearly, they can't do stadiums. They're going to go back to arenas, which isn't bad. So Wells Fargo, maybe, they're not going to do the Met because it's Beyonce. But I don't see them doing stadiums. I see them doing arenas. I can see Wells Fargo, but I don't see them doing, the Link. I can't see the Link doing it, them doing the Link. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But there is, Destiny's Child, reunion buzz has been in the air. We don't know if it's happening, but it's definitely been in the air, for sure. So as far as music goes, Kylie Minogue's new album, Tension, I just have to give it a shout out. Y'all keep saying y'all want some pop music, and then when the pop girls come out, y'all not really feeling them. Kylie Minogue has been in the game for over 20 years, 2 decades. She's a legend, okay? She's been making bops for a minute. I've been privately listening to Kylie Minogue. She got a song that came out, y'all know her from the song Can't Get You Out of My Head. That song came out 20 years ago, child. She's been making hits since then. She's got another good song that she did a couple years ago off of the album Aphrodite's. It was called Get Out of My Way. Listen, when that song came out a couple summers ago, I blasted that song all summer. It was like my personal song of the summer. I love Get Out of My Way. That was probably 2015, 2017. It was a while ago, y'all. But it was still a banger, and I still listen to it. But her new album, Tension, came out. She has a song called Padam Padam. Padam Padam. It's really good. It was like a subtle gay song of the summer. Jamarcus and I have loved Kylie Minogue. We love this Tension album. We love this album. It's got lots of bops. We're happy it came out. Now, another album that came from the sky was Scarlet by Doja Cat. I don't really like Doja Cat, but the album was good. It was good. Doja Scat is continuing to make her mark in music. As you know, what's weird? This is her Reputation hour. This is the Taylor Swift Reputation era. Where the artist is pushing through no matter what the fuck the fans say and want. And you know what? She's doing good. She got another number 1 hit. Paint the Town Red is a banger. I do like Paint the Town Red. I like a lot of the songs. I feel like I shouldn't like Doja Cat, but I listen to it. I don't know what to do with her. But the music is banging. It's a very great album. She's just, it's definitely a step in the right direction since Planet Her. Planet Her was a very different album that felt like people thought she was selling out, going too poppy. And in this, she goes into her hip-hop bag, her grunge. I thought this was a very good departure. If you really love Planet Her, you're not going to like Scarlet. If you was over Planet Her and was just like, you know what? I'm over it, girl. That was cute. You had to have your I Am Sasha Fierce moment. You're going to love Scarlet because it's like a return to form for Doja. And she also moves the genre forward. And this is a good month for Music Weekly. Guts, last week I did a review for Guts. Guts was a great sophomore album for Olivia Rodrigo. And I actually think that it might be a front runner for album of the year. Problem is, you got the Taylor Swift problem. And honestly, if you don't think that the Recording Academy will give Taylor Swift album of the year for a historic 4th time, miss me with that. I thought she was done after Folklore. I thought the Folklore album, Evermore trend, she couldn't top herself. But with this tour, the buzz, the set success in the sales, it's going to be really hard to deny Midnights. They might, because they did not listen. They deny Renaissance, but she's white, and we got to consider white privilege. We got to consider white privilege. Stop acting like racism don't exist. Racism is going to help propel Taylor Swift. Because also, Olivia Rodrigo is also like part Filipino. She's not fully white, just to announce. So racism exists in the Recording Academy. You hear what happens every time they do the secret ballot judges. It does exist. They got a black president. But America had a black president. Harvey Mason Jr. is a great president of the Recording Academy. But one man can't change everything. He's trying, but he can't change everything. Other news in music is Usher is headlining the Super Bowl. Y'all know how I feel about the NFL, but I will watch the Super Bowl show to support that Libra. October 14th is his birthday. Mine's on the 12th. Libras. He's headlining the Super Bowl. And interesting enough, there are a couple of dumbasses, Gen Zers, being like, name 5 Usher songs. Are you serious? Do you really want to do this right now? 5 Usher songs. Bitch, I can name 10. Let's go. You Got It Bad, Confessions, You Remind Me, Nice and Slow. What else? I mean, it's so many, and I can't even. I'm thinking of all of them at once. Love in This Club. You have Love in This Club. That's 5. I'm gonna go 5 more just to let you know about the other 10. You have his new song that he just got out with the girls. You also have Climax, which is another banger. You also got You Don't Gotta Call. You also got oh my goodness, it's the one with Will I Am. That's also very good. Love You Down. Love that song too. And then lastly, another great jam is My Boo with Alicia Keys. So I've given you 10 in less than 2 minutes. It's been a minute, but he is still out here. And those are all 10 songs, and then some more hits that I can go on and on off the dome. That literally, those are 10 songs that he can literally perform at the halftime show. Now, he's got many more new songs that just came out, but he's got a bunch of songs. He's got enough body of music. He's super relevant. And if anybody's questioning his relevancy, have you checked out his residence that is selling out in Vegas? Like, he is literally doing a successful Vegas residency that has had to be extended multiple times due to how successful it is. It's so successful, it's causing problems in people's relationships. So I don't know where is this energy for like Usher, because guess what? Taylor Swift didn't want to do it, baby, okay? They already did Bruno Mars. They already did The Weeknd. They already did Rihanna. They already did Beyonce. They already did Madonna. They already did Coldplay. They already did Katy Perry. They already did Lady Gaga. Like, who the fuck is left? Jay-Z? Nobody want to hear no Jay-Z. That's interesting why Jay-Z hasn't had one yet. That's interesting. I mean, Kanye would have had one if he didn't blow it. The only one that hasn't had one that would make sense to me in this era would be, I mean, some people think Drake. Drake is one. Drake. But we also got to look at the person that he's being inspired by, Taylor Swift. I think Taylor Swift would do one. But Taylor Swift said, listen, she said that she want money. Taylor Swift probably wanted money, child. Okay, Taylor looked like, listen, I do arenas and stadiums, baby. I did the place that they're having the Super Bowl at. I think Taylor had a concert there, and she got everybody to pay. She's like, listen, I don't need to come there. Y'all not giving me a platform because Taylor Swift is literally the music industry. Like, Barbara Walters said it best. Taylor Swift is the music industry. Like, you can't, like, to be honest, the Super Bowl stage is too big for Taylor because she doesn't need it. She literally can go to an award show, not perform, get 9 fucking awards, and then announce, oh, by the way, I got a new album coming out. And people buy. Her music is so good. Her music sells so good that she is selling re-recorded editions of her albums, and they're going platinum. Her re-recorded albums are going platinum. So yeah, I get why she didn't do the Super Bowl. But for Usher, it's not about relevance. It's about acknowledging that in our generation, millennial generation, Beyonce, Gaga, Rihanna, Usher is long overdue. He should have been had the stage. He is literally, someone said it best about him and Mary J. Blige. They are so popular and so talented that they're the only artists in our era that had to be able to that has been able to literally be themselves for a quarter of a century without having to literally reinvent themselves or do a comeback. Usher has never had a comeback because Usher has always been in the culture. Mary J. Blige did not need to do a comeback because she has literally been in the culture for so long. Like you notice that, like, have you ever heard anybody be like, oh, Mary J. Blige is making her comeback? Now, Mariah had to do a comeback, no shade. Janet has had to do a comeback. Britney has had to do a comeback. Michael Jackson had to do a little comeback-ish situation. But Usher has never had to make a comeback. Usher has been in the flow. And he's been relevant and he's been in the zone. And he's never, like, I never be like, this is Usher's comeback song. It's just kind of like he's been there. And Mary J. Blige is the same as well. She just has been consistently putting out music that has been successful. She hasn't had these, what I call, valleys in her career. She's just been on the edge. There's never been a moment where people did not want Usher. Like, I don't know anybody who's never been not excited about Usher. Just saying. Same thing with Mary J. Blige. They have been artists that's never had to deal with that. So yeah. And they're solo artists. They didn't come from a group. They didn't come from a boys group that made them famous first. They didn't come from a mega successful group that then made them a solo success. So I gotta give them props for that. And then lastly, TV. Everyone's been talking about American Horror Story. I have really been off American Horror Story. Everybody's about American Horror Story, the new one called Delicate with Emma Roberts, who is Julia Roberts' niece, and of course Kim Kardashian. Everyone is saying the show. First episode just came out. I did watch the first episode. Not going to watch it no more. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But I must say, it is interesting. The acting is, good. Kim Kardashian did not ruin it. I guess her acting has gotten better 10 years after Confessions from a Marriage Counselor, where she was horrible in that Tyler Perry film. But, it was all right. Whatever. I'm not watching the rest of the series. And that's because my good Judy, Angelica Ross, she's a black trans actress. But I guess I have to say now, former black trans actress. She has left Hollywood. She's done with Hollywood, she has told people. She's retired from the industry because it's been fucked up for her. She's experienced transphobia. She's experienced misogynoir by people in the studios and things like that. So Ryan Murphy, she's worked with him a lot. He did Pose. He was involved in Pose. He's also was involved in Horror Story, and she had that relationship with them in FX. Now, according to her, she said that she had to let go of a lot of important projects because she was hoping that Ryan Murphy was going to keep his promise. Apparently, she was in talks with Ryan Murphy. He was going to do an American Horror Story that was going to involve black leads. So it's going to be a really black production. She even offered to not only just do acting, but she wanted to do, be a producer. Kind of like what Jussie Smollett did with Empire, where he was producing shows while also acting. So she really wanted to turn, to really evolve in her craft. Well, he ghosted her for periods of time. And as he was ghosting her, she said she was preparing for a role with Marvel to be potentially in the Marvel film, which was a big deal. But the thing is that she was contractually not allowed to do that because she also had a relationship with FX, which meant that, if Marvel production happened and conflicted with the FX, she had to do that. So she was contractually trapped in this relationship with the studio. And she said Ryan Murphy was not responsive and everything else. She said while she was working on production, she said Emma Roberts had made some very transphobic remarks that in a conversation that I guess referred to ladies, she said, "Do you mean lady?" in reference to her on the set. And she reiterated lady versus ladies because they were saying ladies because Angelica Ross is a woman. Well, Emma Roberts apparently was like, "You mean lady?" Because she's like, "You saying ladies?" Like as if you're saying that we're both women. It was very fucked up. It was very transphobic. And apparently people that wanted to stand up for her felt like they couldn't stand up for her or they were going to be in trouble. Yeah, she discussed the dirty, ugly side of Hollywood. Emma Roberts has just come out and tried to apologize. It's interesting because this is coming out while, American Horror Story Delicate is out. But a lot has been said about Ryan Murphy. He's a white gay man. White gay men are in a league of their own, and I'm just going to leave it at that. When people try to do the whole LGBTQ community stuff with me and try to say, they told me about their experience with white gay men, they talk to me like as a black queer person as if that's the same type of wave. I'm like, white gay men are unique because they have white male privilege. They have white male privilege. And that white male privilege shows up in the anti-blackness that they perpetuate often. It shows up in their sexism towards other members of the LGBTQI community. And it shows up in their transphobia when they're they're white cis gay men. So in many ways, that stuff shows up. And a lot of times people have ignored it. People don't discuss it as much or don't confront it. But there is oftentimes a lot of incidents of racism, sexism, and transphobia in these LGBTQ spaces that are being perpetuated by specifically white, cis, gay men. So, Ryan Murphy is a white, cis, gay man. And so to hear the accusations about him, I mean, there's been conversations about how Ryan Murphy is problematic, and people have let it go for a long time because of the fact that, he is in the other category. He is a person marginalized experience. But I always tell people that your marginalized experience does not speak over the marginalized experience of another. So just because you can share LGBTQ solidarity, don't mean that you respect that person for being of color or being a woman or being trans. Like, you can't keep conflating these things. And so as a Black queer person that has experienced racism in the community, experienced these types of issues in all aspects of my life, I'm not surprised about Ryan Murphy. So we'll see what happens. Well, I'm excited for this upcoming week. As you all know, I'm going back to Detroit. Excited. I'm going to go to another one of those New York Times Best Restaurants in America spots. I'm excited to be interviewed by Andre Ash. I'm excited about the Brooklyn Book Festival this upcoming weekend. If you can go out there, come through, check it out. It's really exciting. And then to be on a flight to LA shortly after. Oh, this life. Love it so much. But yeah, this was a long episode. This was a spicy episode, but we had so much to talk about. This is the spring. I mean, this is the spring. This is the fall revival. This is the fall preview. I'm super excited about everything that's to come. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.